Good afternoon. We are live from Al Caniglia Field on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Kelter along with Tori Pantalian. In just a few moments, we'll bring you Division II football with South Dakota State taking on the UNO Mavericks. But first, in light of recent tragic events around the country, let's go now to stadium announcer Terry Forsberg.
I'm waiting for your cue. Ladies and gentlemen, last Tuesday, terrorist attacks in New York City and Washington, D.C. shattered the calm of America life. The thoughts and prayers of the North Central Conference go out to the thousands of victims, their families, friends, and rescue workers in this senseless action. At this time, please join us in a moment of silence to remember all of those involved in this terrible tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly 200 years ago,
when America was under attack, Francis Scott Key wrote a poem to demonstrate his feelings when he saw the red, white, and blue stars and stripes of the flag waving in triumph despite an all-night assault. That poem, written on September 14th, 1814, became our national anthem. And while there are times when we have all taken its playing at sporting events for routine, today is not one of them. The University of Nebraska at Omaha and South Dakota State University invite you to stand and proudly sing for our country, our fellow Americans who have lost their lives and their loved ones, and for freedom. Our nation's colors are presented this afternoon by the Air Force ROTC Color Guard. The Maverick Marching Band will be under the direction of Dr. Timothy Yonts. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in singing our national anthem.
and welcome to Alcaniglia Field. Jim Kelter along with Tori Pantalian. And as the UNO Mavericks get ready to defend the NCC title against South Dakota State this afternoon, Tori, I'll go back and say that you and I have done a number of broadcasts of sporting events all over, but probably never under these circumstances.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you, the last time I can remember anything like this, actually I can't remember anything like this, and you're right. This is a situation where, you know, do you do this or do you not? When do you get back to normalcy? All of this has been hammered out over the last 96 hours. I think at this point, I think the players understand the situation, definitely the school officials and the conference officials. And the conference officials, along with all the deans and the chancellors, thought that maybe it'd be the best thing to go ahead and have a weekend full of football and other sports for the North Central Conference. And I won't argue that. The fact is that we are here and there's a football game to play, but you're right. I think a lot of people's thoughts aren't necessarily on sports right now.
Well, let's get back to normalcy right now. UNO coming off of 2 wins, one against Northwest Missouri State and the other one against Nebraska Kearney, putting their record at 2-0. South Dakota State, on the other hand, 1-1. And I think the big question is whether South Dakota State can contain the Maverick offense. They've given up almost 800 yards. Let's go down on the field to Terry Leahy.
Jim and Tori, good afternoon, everyone. Of course, the sideline reporter's major job is to watch the injury situation, and that is very important in this game this afternoon. For UNO, quarterback Seth Turman, co-NCC Player of the Week in the Kearney game against Nebraska Kearney, but he's banged up with a chest injury. He is playing, but we will be watching his situation very carefully. UNO dealing with a lot of injuries. Of course, Buck Rasmussen, the great defensive lineman, is out. And we will also be watching an outstanding player for South Dakota State, running back number 30, Josh Ronick. He's trying to get back into his all-world Division II form after injuries plagued his season last year. So it will be very interesting to watch that situation down here on this field. Back up to you fellas, and one more thing, Tori and Jim, we have covered a lot of sports in this town. The coming together of the Jacks and the Mavs on that field, one of the most touching moments in the history of Omaha sports, certainly in my lifetime. Fellas, back to you.
Well, the Mavericks in the red uniforms and South Dakota State in the blue and gold across the way. They also have the white jerseys, and we've seen quite a few memorable games between these two clubs, both here and up in Brookings. And
You're being kind, Jim. Memorable, fiery.
well, it's a stated fact. I think a lot of people talked about the I-29 series with South Dakota and UNO, but I think there are some games that really stand out between these two teams. The Mavericks did not win the toss, and so they will be kicking off to the Jackrabbits. And coming into this ball game, South Dakota State has put some points on the board, but they have given up quite a few.
Well, you know, the thing, too, is and Terry touched that on Josh Ronick, lest people think that he's just one of those scat backs you can't catch. The 5 touchdowns that he scored opening day were of 1, 1, 1, 6, and 6 yards. So he's got to be able to pound it in as well. He's not just one of those guys that's going to run away from you. He'll take your head off.
Well, the ball goes out of bounds down inside the 5-yard line. That'll be a violation, and South Dakota State will take over in excellent field position. Frank Blaylark was over there, one of the twin safeties, along with number 20, Kevin Brown. That kickoff didn't stay within the field of play, and so it goes over to South Dakota State. Troy Severson getting it off the side of his foot, so the ball is out at the 35-yard line. First down coming up.
Jim, want to remind everybody that today's broadcast is supported by Nebraskans for Public Television. Folks, thank you very much. Glad you're along for the ride with us.
Up under center now for the Jackrabbits. Dan Feldheim. Quick toss to the outside. That is Ronick. And Ronick trying to get to the outside. Goes down right at the 35-yard line. He had nowhere to go. Number 51, Ryan Stubendek, coming in to make the stop.
Well, I don't think that was a surprise for anybody. Even people in the stands knew that Ronick could probably get the first call. There you get a look at the backs of the receivers for the visiting Jacks out of Brookings, South Dakota. Number 30 is the guy you're going to want to watch. And there's the people who make the holes for Ronick up front. A little different than what he's used to, because some of these guys are newcomers, and that might explain some of the low yardage that he had, like the last part of his junior year anyway.
Slot right formation, strong formation to the right side. Here's the handoff to Ronick straight ahead. Got running room 40, 45, and all the way up to midfield. And that's more than enough for the first down.
Oh, they didn't think Chad Geiger was there, Jim, or else we're looking at a jackrabbit lead in the first minute of play. The thing that gets me, and Jimmy, we talked about this, everybody knows about Ronick. He's the known quantity. What about the unknown quantity? That would be the quarterback, Dan Feldheim, as we get a look at the Maverick defensive line. Stubendek just made a play. Travis Moten, of course, out there at nose tackle, going to try to disrupt things. So we'll take a look at, there's your linebackers in the secondary. Ryan Hoffman, of course. We already called Chad Geiger's number.
I don't think anybody has better linebackers than Stovall and Hoffman. Here's the quick toss to the outside. Ronick cuts it back inside, but goes down right at the initial line of scrimmage. Excellent pursuit that time, and give credit to Antoine Caesar, who got over to make the stop on the play. Also helping out was Adrian Stovall, who we mentioned.
That's right, and Adrian Hernandez also got involved in that. He helped turn the play away from where the Jacks wanted to they wanted to go wide but still keep it inside the end on this side, and they weren't able to do that because Hernandez turned it in, and then, of course, he got help from his teammates. And this is going to be key for the Mavericks. They're going to need help from their backers to help contain Ronick.
Two receivers to the near side on a 2nd down and 10 from midfield. Feldhelm's first pass of the ball game out of the backfield to Ronick to the 50, and Ronick to the 45, run out of bounds at about the 45-yard line in Maverick territory. It'll be a 3rd down play coming up.
Well, Ronick showed just how slick he is, because Butler for the Mavericks had him in his sights, Lawrence Butler, and he just walked right around him, stepped right around him, and gained about 5 more yards after that. So those are the things the Mavericks are going to have to do, because with a guy like Ronick, he'll move you up and down the field, and Mavericks can contain him. Then they can worry about some of the other things.
Josh Buchholz goes wide to the far side of the field. Ball on the near hash mark. A 3rd down coming up. Trip receivers to the far side. Handoff straight ahead to Ronick, going nowhere. Right at the line of scrimmage. Mavericks not thinking pass necessarily, concentrating basically on containment and doing a very fine job.
Well, that was an awesome play up front by the Mavericks. And Ryan Hoffman, from his linebacker spot, was able to get in there and make the full stop. But nice job up front, especially from the nose tackle for the Mavericks. And I'm telling you, this is the kind of thing they need to continue to be able to do, because then if they can force South Dakota State out of this give to Ronick, they'll have South Dakota State playing their game then.
Jason Langland, averaging 42 yards of punt, gets it away, tries to do a squibber, and is taken inside the 10 and trying to work his way back upfield, breaking into the secondary, almost getting free. All the way back. Well, let's see what they unpile up to the 27-yard line. Jeremy Anderson.
1 block away. I mean, he found the hole on the punt return, outran the coverage, and then just 1 block away from making that thing a big gain, possibly a touchdown. But that's a good start for the Mavericks on their first series.
Seth Terman up over center. Mavericks' first offensive possession of the first period. Terman on a handoff straight ahead, trying to fight for running room and getting very little, maybe a couple of yards on the play. Nolan just kept his feet churning and managed to turn what was no gain into about 2 yards.
Seth Thurman quarterbacking the Mavericks.
Well, Nolan, of course, the Mavericks with really good depth at the tailback position with James Johnston along with Nolan. They both have shown they can get triple-digit yardage per game.
Dustin is the fullback. Handoff goes straight ahead this time, and Nolan with a couple of more yards, but
Johnny Nolan, the ball carrier.
And that'll bring up a 3rd down and 6 play. Let's go down on the sideline to Terry Leahy.
I'm standing right behind the Nebraska Omaha defensive squad, talking with defensive coordinator DJ Vokalek, and this is where the game, college football is won or lost. The adjustments made during the game, fellas, the players talking to each other, the coaches get together, then they talk to the players, all in a little group. They have to stay together. They know exactly where to go when they come off the field. Fascinating stuff.
10:45 remaining here in period number 1. Mavericks with a third down call. South Dakota State stopped on 3rd and 5. Let's see what the Mavericks do on 3rd and 6. Turman on the option to the outside. Gets the pitch to Nolan to the outside. Nolan has the first down, breaks into the clear, but stepped out of bounds just past the first down stick at about the 37-yard line. And the Mavericks picked up the first down of the afternoon.
Well, that's just all execution. Nice by Turman. He did exactly what an option quarterback's supposed to do. Draw the attention to you, last second pitch it. But I want to give kudos to my Fat brothers, Jim. Those guys up front cleared it out, made the moves they needed to make for the blocks, and that helped Turman do his thing as an option quarterback. So another first down for the Mavericks, and that they're starting to already show life in this first series.
First down for the Mavericks. Wide to the far side. Ryan Krause now in motion back to the near side. Turman drops back, looks out into the flat. It is caught by Krause and knocked down at about the 44-yard line.
Seth Turman passing
Simple
complete to
little,
Ryan Krause.
put the man in motion. He ran this
Tillman
side,
on the
a little bit of
tackle.
a fade this way, and then he came straight out toward the sideline. That's a high percentage pass, low risk, especially when you can clear out on the other side. You set up a man-to-man situation.
Krause out of Millard South played for Marty Going. Nolan the lone setback now. Mavericks send 2 receivers to the near side. Again, Krause in motion. Here's a handoff straight ahead, and Nolan fights across the 45,
Nolan, the ball
shy of the
carrier.
first down at about the 46.
Don't know if the Mavericks are trying to set something up. They faked an end around this way to Krause. Nobody really bid for it, so it'll be interesting to see if the Mavericks will go back to that later in the
Charlotte
ball
and
game.
Clarkson on the stop.
Wind today about 13 miles an hour. Not much of a factor here at Alcaniglia Field. There was rain in the forecast, but so far I think we've been quite fortunate. Third down play coming up. 3rd and a long 2. Turman calls it out. Options to the outside once more. Quick pitch to Nolan. Tries to cut it back inside. Nothing doing. He goes down almost immediately. Back to 42. In on the stop is number 18, Justin Landis. And so the Mavericks will have to punt it away.
Nobody got to Landis. He was naked as the defender, and he was able to break that up, flying up from his secondary position.
Kevin Rue in to do the punting for the Mavericks. Going deep is Kevin Brown. Jackrabbits have 10 men up on the line of scrimmage. Good snap. Kick is away by Rue. And Brown takes it at the 18. As Brown still on his feet, getting free down the sideline. He's got the kicker, Kevin Rue, to beat. He sidesteps in, but goes down at the 40-yard line. But a flag is down
Kevin Rue
back on the South
running.
Dakota State side of the field in the vicinity of the 40.
We're going to have an illegal block from the back. I didn't see the Jackrabbit who did it, but the Maverick who got hit was Mark Purdy. It'll totally surprise me if that's not what it is. Yeah, that's a signal.
In the back.
That's a call, a correct one by Torrey Pantalian and our referee. Let's go back down on the field to Terry.
I have moved to the offensive huddle now of the Nebraska-Omaha football team. This session is being chaired by offensive line coach Don Knock. So again, these players aren't even really following the game right now. The 2 separate camps. And here is Knock with the chalkboard with his players surrounding him at the other end of the UNO bench. Again, the adjustments being made during the game and at halftime so critical. Gentlemen, back to you.
So the second offensive series coming up for the Jackrabbits. No score in the ball game. 8:17 to play here in the first period. Feldhelm out of the I formation, fakes on play action, now rolls out of the pocket. Running downfield's going to be hit. He gets it away at the last minute. What are they going to call? There is no.
Well, the referee, Jim, the referee is giving the indication that he was down. His knees were down. Nice pursuit. I mean, for me, it was either going to be down or intentional grounding, because there's no other call you could have made.
Feldhelm trying to take a gamble there. Didn't have anybody open on that side of the field, and just before he was tackled, went down and threw it away, but it'll go as a loss on the play back to the 19-yard line. Big loss, in fact. 2nd down and 21 coming up. Now back to a pro set by the Jackrabbits. Back goes Feldhelm over the middle. Pass is knocked away at the last minute. The intended receiver over there was Andrew Brandt.
Well, I'm telling you, Chad Geiger read that all the way. I mean, so many times in football, you'll hear the baseball analogy, playing center field. Well, that's exactly what he did. He just didn't get the interception, but he read that perfectly and came around a dangerous spot for the defensive back, only because you usually get called for this, but he came around the receiver's backside and was able to get his left hand in there to deny the completion.
Feldhelm now goes to the shotgun formation on 3rd and long, deep in Jackrabbit territory. Feldhelm looking over the middle, now trying to run out of the pocket, gets it away, and it's complete. Ronick coming upfield, 30, 35, and run out of bounds. And I think he's got enough for the 1st down. That probably was the secondary receiver on the play, Torrey, and the good patience of Feldheim to wait for him and finally let him break open.
And if I'm Kevin Robinson, and I saw his reaction after he missed that tackle on Ronick at about the 30, he hammering himself in the helmet. You have to feel bad because he made the right play. He knew it was happening. He just didn't make the tackle. And now the Jackrabbits have converted that long yardage into a 1st down.
A 22-yard gain, and the Jacks in business at their own 41. The handoff to Ronick over the left side, fights off a tackle. He's hard to bring down, still on his feet, finally goes down after maybe a yard. Good pursuit by the Maverick defense, and I think a defense that may be much maligned right now after giving up 21 to Northwest Missouri State and 10 to Kearney. People are thinking this isn't the defense of last year, but Torrey, those are probably 2 of the better teams you'll play all year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Just think of the teams you just mentioned. Kearney's always tough, and especially now, recently. And then Northwest Missouri, we're going to see them in the postseason most likely if both teams get that far. So, yeah, you're right. But Hernandez doing an excellent job finally to get his arms wrapped around Ronick's legs and slow him up enough for some help.
Double slot formation. Back goes Feldhelm on play action. Throws to the sideline. Incomplete. Not sure if the receiver just fell down. Brian King, the fullback, coming out of the backfield. He was lined up in the slot. Or on the wing, I guess I should say, and I think fell down near midfield, so it goes as an incompletion 3rd and 9.
Yeah, maybe the 50-yard stripe is raised just a little bit because there was nobody a good 2 yards near him, and he just went down. I think he misread where he was on the sideline, and he tried to do the 2-foot ruling, although you only have to have 1 foot in college.
Have a strong side formation to the right side, the near side of the field. Back goes Feldheim again, looking over the middle. He's got some time, throws, the pass is complete, and it's going to be close to another 1st down. A terrific hit along the Maverick bench. Over there was Chad Geiger. The receiver on the play was Josh Buchholz coming across the field. And according to the spot from down below, it looks like he may be just shy. 4th down.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to mark him right at midfield, Jim.
Geiger on the stop.
Tyree Kellogg also over there for the Mavericks on defense.
Just barely getting in on the end of the play. So a big decision coming up there, but not really.
Head coach John Stickelmeyer decides we're going to kick this thing out of here.
Langland will try to boot it away once again. Jeremy Anderson deep along with Chad Geiger. Not much pressure. The Mavericks peel it away. Good high kick. Anderson at the 7. Back upfield. This time he's going down at about the 9-yard line. Might have been a decision to let it go into the end zone. You hear coaches say if you're inside the 10, let it go. In this case, that's easier said than done when we're up here. Let's go down on the field to Terry Leahy.
Behind me is Josh Weir, offensive lineman. Tom Freddy, head athletic trainer here at Nebraska Omaha, says he suffered a rib injury. They have ice on it. He could be back. They haven't really come up with a prognosis yet. And he's standing next to Drew Gherkin, one of the sad stories with the injuries with this MAV team. Gherkin, offensive tackle, out, as you can see, with the ACL problem. Back to you.
Seth Turman inside the 10-yard line. First down and 10 coming up from the 7. Handoff straight ahead to the fullback. John Dustin getting
John
3
Dustin,
tough yards,
the ball
maybe
carrier.
4.
Well, to go back to what you said earlier, Jim, about whether you should let a punt go or catch it inside
Peterson
the
and
10, I
Collette on
think,
the stop.
yeah, you're right. Probably inside the 10, you'd want to let it go. The Mavericks now are definitely in a hole. They've got to come up at least to a little bit more breathing room. First down, obviously, would make a big change in this series at this point.
Mike Nizzi going wide to the far side of the field. Mavericks on second down. Well, they only gave him a yard. Line of scrimmage was the 9. Back goes Turman throwing long downfield. He's got to receive it. That's Nizzi at the 50, 45, 40. Fumbles the football, and South Dakota State is going to get it. Falling on the ball was Kevin Brown after the reception. Nizzi on a fly pattern.
Turman passing
Picked it
complete
off and had
to
room to
Mike
run, but lost it.
Nizzi.
And South Dakota State gets a break and has it right back.
Now, this is incredible because Turman, when you missed, he had a
tackle.
great play action. And look at Nizzi. That ball was right there, but a good job by the defender. And they practiced that, chasing a guy from behind and knocking the ball loose. And it paid off, and now South Dakota State has it in their own territory. But Casey Hillman doing an awesome job on Nizzi as a defensive back to kick that ball loose.
First down coming up for the Jacks. Feldheim hands off to Ronick again over the left side, down at about the 42-yard line, maybe 3 yards on the play. He'll get the bulk of the carry, certainly. Number 48, John Hodorf, was in at the fullback position, and we probably won't see a whole lot of the Jacks fullback play. Brian King was the starting fullback this afternoon, so Coach Stiegelmeier doing a little shuffling around.
Yeah, Ronick, he does, Jim. He carries the ball a lot.
Still no score here in the first period of play. Back goes Feldheim, quick out to the outside. Pass is caught over on the far side by Buchholz. And he is very close to the first down. The officials right on the chain on the far side of the field.
Well, at this point, it appears that South Dakota State is happy to nickel and dime. And they're making a lot of high percentage plays. They're not going to put a lot of thing in jeopardy at this point. And getting the first turnover of the game, you can obviously Coach Stiegelmeier doesn't want to squander this opportunity.
Well, they mark it just about the length of the football shy. Third down coming up. Let's see if Feldheim decides to sneak for it, and that's exactly what he does. And he's got enough for the first down. So the Jackrabbits, probably in terms of time of possession, with a slight advantage here, but really nothing, they have not really been able to cross into Maverick territory, but just the one time, and came up short. Now they have it just shy of midfield again as time runs down here in period number 1. And a few raindrops around Al Caniglia Field. First down and 10 for the Jacks as we go under 3 minutes. Feldheim back to pass again. Runs out of the pockets, heads upfield. Gets into Maverick territory and down to the 43-yard line. Check that. Lawrence Butler makes the stop, but not after about an 8-yard gain.
Well, the time your secondary has everybody covered the way they should, and then the Maverick defensive line kind of got bunched up in the middle, and that allowed Feldheim to move to his left and then just kind of tiptoe over the 45-yard line.
Second and short. You'd probably open up the playbook just a little bit if you were so inclined. Shift by the Jackrabbit receivers to the strong side of the field, the near side. And Feldheim hands off to Ronick, who's hitting the backfield and goes down. Back around the 48-yard line is probably where they'll end up spotting it.
Ronick, the ball carrier.
Whoa. Big number 99, Travis Moten was there.
Stovall and Caesar.
Well, that's the time. This is the one time they didn't. I'm not going to say they've been fooling the Mavericks all game as much as they've been able to execute. Well, this time the Mavericks shot the gaps, and Ronick had no place to turn.
Third down coming up now. The ball spotted back at the 47. It's 3rd and 6. Trip receivers to the near side of the field. Feldheim out of the shotgun, drops back, looks over the middle. Now it's going to try to run out of pressure, hit the backfield, and drop back at the Jackrabbit 48-yard line.
Stovall on the sack of Feldheim.
That is excellent. I think that's a secondary coverage that caused the play. Nobody opened that time, and the Maverick up front people were able to get to Feldheim. They call it a coverage sack. And so the Mavericks will get their hands on the football as the seconds run down.
Here we get another look at it. Abraham Stovall is the guy on the bottom, but the pocket just collapsed because the offensive lineman can only keep that so long, and if the coverage is that good, it's going to break down.
Kick sending to Anderson at the 10, catches it on the run, gets to the 20. Down the sideline he goes. We've got a flag down in front of the Maverick bench.
Langland. Punt returned by Jeremy Anderson.
That flag went down fairly
down at the
quickly.
32.
Bruce Timmons, our referee, will inform
Knocked out of
us
bounds by
after he
Nedved.
talks to linesman Jim Johnston.
Holding. Punt return, team. First down.
So they'll mark the ball back from the spot of the foul. So that'll cost the Mavericks. That was a really nice
First down
return.
for the Mavericks.
Well, Jeremy Anderson got that line drive
Ball near the 23.
punt and was able to take it in full stride, but to no avail. Dustin Donahue in at fullback for the Mavericks. Ball is fumbled, and Seth Turman has to fall on it. That was ever so close to being a major mistake deep in Maverick territory.
Well, I think on that situation, obviously the exchange was bad, but Seth started moving out from behind the center, I think, a fraction before he really should have. Because if you notice, his arms were stretched out all the way when he tried to get the ball.
There's the end of the first period of play with no score in our ball game. The rebroadcast of this game can be seen next week on the Knowledge Network of Greater Omaha, Cox Communication Channel 17, or Quest TV Channel 77. You can tune in next Tuesday at 9 o'clock or this Wednesday at 7 p.m.
And again, we want to remind you that today's broadcast is supported by Nebraskans for Public Television.
You know, I might also mention that you're an internet surfer, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I guess I am.
Well, beginning Monday, you can go to unotv.uno or unomaha.edu and watch the game on your computer. That is something you and I weren't privy to a few years ago.
No, that's true. Yeah,
Probably still aren't.
It's still new.
Being
It's
computer
still new, but
illiterate.
I mean, I don't know if I want to go back and watch and listen to myself again. No. But it's a neat technology, and it does. It allows people everywhere. I mean, when was the last time you ever thought you'd hear that you'd be going worldwide? Well, with the internet, you can and you are. So that's just another way that Linda can avoid you. You
Exactly.
know? I'm saying she does.
As we begin period number 2, 2nd and 9 for the Mavericks. Hand off to James Johnson straight ahead. He's got some room and some power as he crosses the 25 and gets up near the 30.
James Johnson, the ball carrier.
Let's go back down to the field to Terry Leahy.
The defensive huddle for UNO. Pretty simple this time, fellas, from coordinator DJ Vokalek. He's still talking to him a little bit, but it's breaking up. Just keep doing what you're doing. Great series last time. He's thrilled, feels momentum coming to the Mavs with that. So real happy group down here on that.
Near side, Ryan Krause. Mavericks going to a double tight end formation. Seth Turman up under center. Options to the outside, fakes the pitch, tries to turn it upfield, can't do it, goes down at the 30. Maybe a yard on the play. The Jackrabbits really stringing it out to the near side. And Turman really had nowhere to go.
On the stop.
Jeff Schultz and Michael Cunningham stuffing that play for the Jackrabbits, coming over one from his defensive line spot, the other a linebacker. Good pursuit by the Jackrabbits, forcing the Mavericks yet to punt one more time.
So Kevin Rue coming onto the field, standing back at his own 15-yard line. Kevin Brown, the lone safety for the Jacks. Here's the kick. Good high kick, sailing downfield at the 24-yard line is Brown. And he fights away from one tackler. He's going to go down. Way back downfield. Excellent coverage by the UNO Mavericks on special teams, making sure that Kevin Brown goes absolutely nowhere. I think they'll give him maybe the 22.
Well, you're going to see good coverage by the Mavericks. The first guy to get to him will be Lamy Zarley. And he hit him, and then it slowed up Brown up enough where 3 other Mavericks could get there. He had trouble. He almost drops that ball. There you see Zarley with the initial hit, and then the rest of the Mavericks come in to finish him off. Purdy is one of them, along with Conrad Parks.
Back goes Feldheim again. This pass is batted away by the Mavericks, and up front, knocking the pass down that time was Jermaine Young. Let's go down to Terry.
Just talked to
Young,
Tom Freddy,
batting
athletic
down
trainer
the
for
pass.
Nebraska Omaha, and he says as a precaution, just behind me, Josh Weir, offensive lineman, I mentioned earlier he had a rib injury. He's just still being checked out. Again, this is a precautionary measure, though one of the team physicians listening to his heart. But again, that's all precaution right now for Josh Weir. Back to you, fellas.
Well, we've talked about injuries already. Buck Rasmussen, sideline for the Mavericks.
Yeah, and you figure they were hoping to get through that non-conference schedule pretty healthy. And
Here's the handoff to Josh Rannick, and he just powers his way across the 25. Big collision around the 27-yard line.
Contact defensively by
Knocked
Chad
down.
Geiger.
Chad Geiger in on the stop.
you can see that he's built compactly. He's like 5'9", 200, so he's not necessarily an overly big running back, but he hits the hole real quick, and he gets in motion, so he's able to, with his compact size, he can ram himself in there, and then he got some great blocking on that play, and you saw the result of the collision. So this kid can get it done from a running back position, both with speed and with power.
3rd and 4 coming up for the Jacks. Back goes Feldheim. He just throws it away. He had nowhere to go with it. He was kind of looking over in the near side for Ronick, number 1, and Adolph Shepardson, number 2, who was one of the Jacks' leading receivers, and we haven't heard from him most of the afternoon. There is a flag down on the play.
Let's see what the referee will tell us. Corey Peterson was giving Feldheim a lot of pressure.
Ineligible receivers, downfield, offense.
Had Feldheim thrown it to the near side, he would have had receivers there. To the far side, there was no one there. So the Mavs on the 3rd down call may elect to decline the penalty.
Ineligible receiver, offense, penalty, decline, 4th down.
And so the Jacks will punt it away again. Well, coming in, we alluded to the fact that the Mavericks had given up some points. South Dakota State had done likewise. I don't think either of us would have projected a scoreless tie early in the second period.
Well, exactly. I mean, Ronick has gotten loose for some big runs, but the Maverick defense has been able to rise to the occasion. And same with Jackrabbit defense. Mavericks will move the ball, and then South Dakota
Punt is blocked and picked up in the backfield by Richard Comstock, and he takes it into the end zone for a Maverick touchdown.
Well, we talked about breaks. Jim just said didn't expect to have a scoreless game this far into it. Right away, special teams makes the difference. Comstock doing a good job. I wasn't able to see. There were a couple of red jerseys in on the punter, so I can't give credit to an exact player, but no question that front line just came blasting through and set it up. There you see the end of the play with Comstock bringing it into the end zone. But special teams is all part of it. So many times you'll see special teams make a big play.
Langland just seemed to take an awfully long time getting that one away, and obviously maybe the Mavericks saw something from upstairs. Severson will try to add the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. 12:31 remaining to be played here in the first half, and the Mavericks draw first blood here at Al Caniglia Field. A 7-0 lead over South Dakota State and the Mavericks NCC opener.
Well, this definitely changes the complexion of the ball game because, as we were talking just before that happened, neither offense could really get a sustained drive. There you see Comstock picking it up and going into the end zone for the first score of this ball game. And the Mavericks with now a 7-0 lead. But now it'll be up to the Maverick defense to be able to hold South Dakota State. This is key. You hear it so many times, but it's true. Once your offense does something positive, and especially in this situation, a special team does something and gets you on the board, you can't allow to let your opponent get back in the rhythm. So this is a big, big series for the Maverick defense. But for the offense of South Dakota State, obviously, they want to be able to, it's just like a fighter. You know, when he takes a good shot from his opponent, the last thing he wants to do is let that opponent know that he's down. So the Jackrabbits will want to get things on fire as well.
This is Kevin Brown threading his way through traffic and getting good field position all the way back up across the 30, up to about the 34-yard line. And so SDSU will take over first down and 10 at its own 34-yard line.
There you see Brown, who just got hammered by Conrad Parks on that punt return. I know that's how some guys get to make a living in this sport, but I don't know if I'd want to be a punt returner.
First down and 10 coming up. South Dakota State out of the I formation. I think their deepest penetration. Well, we may have trouble either with the clock or we had some movement on the Jackrabbit front line. Maverick players are clapping. That's what it's going to be. A little false start.
Illegal procedure. Offense. Still first down.
So a 5-yard step off. I'm sure the Jackrabbit coaches are none too pleased about that. You're deep in your own territory anyway.
Well, again, it's not a good way to start a series after your opponent has scored. And in this case, scored first in the game.
Feldheim, again out of the I, this time starting from a 1st and 15 situation. Back at the Jacks 29-yard line. Fakes the handoff on play action, looks downfield over the middle, pass is knocked away at the last minute. Getting a big hand in there, was that Abraham Stovall?
Yeah, man, he did a good job. He had to lay out for that one, too. He read that really well. Usually, of course, from a linebacker spot, you're taught certain reactions if it's a pass. But, you know, with Ronick, obviously, that gives South Dakota State that advantage. So I think Feldheim felt that he would catch the linebacker stepping forward. But in this case, Stovall read it all the way and was able to make a fantastic play to knock it down.
Feldheim on 2nd and 15. Drops back once again, looking over the middle. Now throws, ball tipped in the air and falls to the ground incomplete. And somebody along the line, I think, got a bit on it and knocked it away until it brings up 3rd and long.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Travis Moten might have got his hand up there, Jim, but this is what I was talking about. So far in this series, the Maverick defense has dominated. Well, now they're at a 3rd and 15. And if you're going to come up with a big play, this is the time to do it on defense, because the last thing you want is for SDSU to convert this into a first down.
Feldheim out of the shotgun formation. Ronick the lone setback, 3 receivers out. Back goes Feldheim, looking long, now throws downfield, and it's incomplete. We're going to get a flag.
Yeah.
Call's going to go against.
Well, they're gonna flag Zarley, number 1 for the Mavericks.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's such a thing as incidental contact. When he fell, and that's exactly what Zarley did. He tripped over himself, but when he fell on the back heels, the back of the receiver's heels.
Defensive pass interference, 15 yards penalty.
So a gift by the Maverick defender on the play puts the ball up at the 44-yard line. It'll be a first down, automatic for the Jacks. Maverick defense has really played tough this afternoon, and as they have all year, particularly last week in the first half of the Kearney game. Mavericks have built a 20-3 lead. Feldheim again, play action, now looks over the middle, pass is caught and knocked down almost immediately as Shepherdson, but not before he makes the reception in Maverick territory at about the 45-yard line.
Well, Chad Geiger with a tremendous hit, but now the Mavericks find themselves, they've given up back-to-back first downs after holding the Jackrabbits to a 3rd and 15, and this drive started fairly deep in the South Dakota State territory.
Mentioned earlier about the injury to Rasmussen. I didn't mention tackle Drew Gherkin, also sidelined after undergoing surgery. 1st and 10 for the Jacks in Maverick territory at the 45. Option to the outside. Ronick turns it back in. Is going to get about 3 tough yards. He was hit at the line of scrimmage and dragged a couple of players. Kevin Robinson was one, along with number 51, Ryan Stubbenbeck.
Well, Stubbenbeck was the first guy to meet him and slow him down enough. And that's the thing with a guy like Ronick. If you can slow him down and then get some defensive help, chances of containing him obviously are a lot better, but it's just so hard sometimes to get a guy like that and slow him down.
2nd down coming up. Feldheim out of the shotgun formation once again. Drops back under pressure, throws over the middle, caught by Ronick, and Ronick breaks the tackle. 30, Ronick is going to go in to score. All the way downfield, and there are no flags down. Ronick gets free on a crossing pattern after breaking a tackle, just takes off down the sideline, got an excellent block at about the 20-yard line, and went all the way in for the touchdown and a chance for the Jacks to tie it up.
Well, Shepherdson was the receiver down there that threw the block, and the UNO coaches are to our right up here in the press box. And I think they wanted a holding call on Shepherdson because he just laid on top of, I think it was Chad Geiger, or it might have been Kevin Robinson, one of the two. But he just laid on top of the Maverick player until Ronick was able to get by him. Then he got up.
Brad Cave on the drive for the extra point. It is up, and it is good. So with 10:42 to go here in the first half, we get a tie ball game at 7 apiece. Mavericks still haven't scored on an offensive possession. Their special teams comes through and blocks a punt. And Comstock runs it in for the score, and now Feldheim connects with Josh Ronick, and the Jackrabbits have tied things up.
This is exactly what I talked about, as we'll get a look at the scoring play. Feldheim, lots of time, right over the middle. Now you'll see on the left side, okay, there's Geiger with the missed tackle, so it was Robinson and Shepherdson. See right there at the bottom of your screen? Shepherdson's just laying on top of the receiver, and I think the UNO Maverick coaches wanted a holding call because seemed like he was holding him down with 2 hands. But they say there's no harm, no foul, a touchdown, South Dakota State. But this is exactly what I was talking about, Jim. The special teams comes through, gets the Mavericks on the board, and South Dakota State comes right back on the ensuing possession and scores.
So the Jackrabbits will kick it away. Brad Cave will kick deep. Jeremy Anderson is back. This was a low kick down the far side of the field, bouncing around, finally picked up by the Mavericks, trying to bring it back upfield, and finally going down with it is Johnny Nolan at about the 26-yard line. Well, this is a good opportunity for the Mavericks now to crank it up here and consume some clock in a tie ball game at 7 with 10:32 remaining here in the first half. Next week, the Mavericks get back into action, taking on South Dakota. That game will be in Sioux Falls. South Dakota's dome undergoing a little renovation. Here's a handoff straight ahead. This is James Johnson fighting his way through the defense and all the way up to the 30 and across the 30, up near the 35-yard line. Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
Defensive coordinator DJ Vokalek back in the huddle. First order of business after that touchdown by Ronick is how did he get open? A big concern for the coaches, according to the players, is he was picked off, or the defenders were getting screened off, picked off over the middle themselves. So they were talking upstairs about how to deal with that, asking did that indeed happen. So a lot of talk about that in the huddle as they take on number 30 of the Jacks. Back to you, Jim and Tori.
Here's Johnson once again with a huge hole over the middle and a first down for the Mavericks as Johnson picks up 7 tough yards. He's coming alive.
Yeah, and that offense of the front line is doing a good job, too. That's 2 plays in a row now that they've been able to do some damage. And I think that with Nolan and Johnston in the backfield, Nolan started, and so it looks like Coach Pat Burns is rotating those 2 guys, keeps some fresh legs in that backfield at the tailback position. Mavericks are going to be able to get something rolling if they can get this rhythm, continue with it.
So 2 big gains, 2 big plays. Mavericks with the first down. Hand off to Johnson. Oh, man, gets across the 45.
Johnson, the ball
The
carrier.
shoestring tackle brings him down just when it looked like he was about ready to break it. Coming up with the stop on the play was Chris Coyote.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coyote doesn't make that tackle. I agree with you, Jim. I think Johnston's going the distance. You could see he was just ready to put that kick in. So the Jackrabbits dodge a bullet in that situation. However, the Maverick offense still continuing to move forward.
Second down coming up. Tie game at 7. Mavericks hand off to Johnson on a draw play up the middle. Gets to the 50, tries to cut it back, gets to the 45 into Jackrabbit territory,
Johnson,
and that's
the
a
ball
first
carrier.
down once again for the UNO Mavericks.
Well, Scott Jorgensen on the left side sealed his opposite number and
First
pushed
down.
it away from the play, opening a big space for Johnston. And as I said, the Mavericks now feel that rhythm, and the offensive line is clicking. Johnson's hitting the holes when they're there. And South Dakota State at this point is trying to work real hard now to find a way to stop this offensive movement.
Mavericks in South Dakota State territory at the 44-yard line. Fake handoff. Turman drops back, going to run with it. Turman has some room and is going to go out of bounds across the way at about the 40-yard line.
I'm not sure if that play developed the way the Mavericks have planned it or scripted it down in the playbook. I know a lot of times for an option quarterback, there'll be that hesitation to the point where it looks like he almost stops. But I'm not sure after the fake handoff if Turman wasn't looking for another option and it just wasn't there. So he turned around and took off. He faked the pass. You see it right here. I mean, he's too all alone in that situation, I think, for it to be run that way.
Second down coming up at the 40-yard line. Mavericks face 2nd and 6 now. Here's Turman on the option to the outside. Gets the pitch away to Johnson. Tries to turn the corner and does. Gets to the 35 and down he goes. He's just shy, I believe, of the first down. Took a nice hard hit. Number 92, Matt Peterson, is there, but Michael Cunningham was also over there on the near sideline.
The fullback on that play, Dustin Donahue, with a nice lead block, and then it was all Johnston. He read the block, and then he had to negotiate his way through a field of white jerseys before he got hammered. Watch number 31. There's the spring loose there. Now Johnston has to capitalize on that. He slides back and gets by 3 defenders before finally being brought down.
3rd and short, and Turman sneaks for the first down. He's got plenty behind the right side of that offensive line, and the Mavericks are really firing out now. You talked earlier about an answering drive. Well, that's exactly what the Mavericks did after South Dakota State got on the board. The Mavericks have been coming back with a vengeance and have moved the ball steadily downfield, now at the 32-yard line.
Yeah, and I think that last play was a good example about, as you said, how they're really fired up, because I've never seen a quarterback move a pile like that before. So Now South Dakota State's defense is back on its heels, and they haven't been able to stop the Mavericks since the first down of this series.
Dustin Donahue, offset fullback to the far side. The handoff goes to Johnson straight ahead. Back to Terman keeps it and is running on the left side. He faked out to yours truly. A flag goes down over on the far side of the field. It looked like a little play-action pass, and it looked like Johnson had it, but then Terman had it on his hip and was looking down toward the end zone.
Yeah, looked, well, the referee is about to give us a signal, so I'll hold off. Yeah, illegal block from behind on the Mavericks. But he gave that crossbuck fake. Nice play action, faking it both backs. And then he turned up, and he only had one receiver downfield, and he was covered pretty well. So Terman decided, well, I'm just going to tuck it and go. We know he can run. There's no question about that.
Illegal block in the back, and it goes against the Mavericks. Big step off. Back to the Jackrabbit 43-yard line. They'll need to get to the 22, so they'll be facing first down now and 21 yards.
Now, if you're the Mavericks, you don't want to let this penalty stall your drive, break up your momentum.
See the play call on first down. Back goes Terman, rolling to the right side, looking downfield. Now fires to the sideline, intercepted. It would appear to be intercepted by the Jackrabbits, picked off by Scott Connick at the 32-yard line.
Man.
Intercepting the pass from Terman.
Well, now it's the Jackrabbit defense that comes up with the big play, and you just don't want to keep saying it, but it happens so often. You get some momentum going, and you get a penalty. It pushes you back. A terminal roll to the right. He has good blocking. It's not a matter of trying to get it away too soon, but he just forced. That's a pass he knows he wants to have back because the defender was just stepped right in front of the play. He didn't get it up high enough to the point where either a Maverick catches it or nobody catches it.
First down and 10 for South Dakota State. Feldheim on play action, rolls to the right side, being pressured, gets it away, throws it away out of bounds. Strong pressure that time, coming from Anton Caesar, 6'2", 255 pounds.
And I think he surprised Feldheim with his speed. Caesar did, because Feldheim was just kind of drifting. He saw him after he went to the right. He saw Caesar, and then he took a couple steps. I think he thought he outran him, and next thing you know, Caesar's right behind him, so he just lets that floater go. And those are the kind of pressures that, you know, you want to see from defense, because it can continue to just cause havoc and make the offense think twice about what they're going to do.
There's a quick pass to the outside in the flat to Ronick. Check that. It was not Ronick, it was Shepherdson. And he picks up a sizable gain across the 40. Let's see where the official spotted down, right around the 41 or 42-yard line.
That was just a quick little outside screen. And they used the receiver on that end as the blocker, obviously. And you work that quickly. See, he's got a couple of blockers there. And it forces the defense on lateral pursuit. And since you throw into somebody who's already lined up that way, you can catch the defense, and it forces them to have to spread wide on a play. And sometimes plays like that go for long yardage.
3rd and 2 coming up for the Jacks. Feldheim tries to sneak for it, and I think second effort may have gotten him the first down.
Yeah, he originally didn't have it. He was stopped at about the 42-yard line. I didn't think he was going to get it, and then the pile went forward, and he had plenty of room for the first down.
So South Dakota State keeps the sticks moving. A 7-7 score here at Al Caniglia Field on an overcast day. D1 football shut down all around the country. D2 playing every conference but 2, and both of those are out on the East Coast. Here's the handoff straight ahead, and Ronick finds some room, and then all of a sudden the hole closes. He goes down shy of midfield, knocked down at about the 48-yard line. And again, Maverick, that middle of that Maverick defensive unit, really getting after it. Again, Travis Moten, 340 pounds worth.
Man, he's lost weight. Didn't he lose weight? He was like 405 or something.
Gain of 5 on the play will make it second down coming up for the Jacks and 5. Feldham on the draw play taken by Ronick. Crosses the 50, gets to the 46-yard line, and that should be enough for the first down. He went down almost right at the first down marker.
We're going to see just how good and how quick Ronick is. He hits this hole well, and as I said, he's not an overly big back, but he's compact enough to where his 5'9", 200 pounds really can act like a spearhead. There you see he takes a handoff. Well, we'll probably get back to it after this play.
3rd and short, they say he's just about a half yard shy. Handoff goes to Ronick again, hit in the backfield and knocked down at the 50-yard line. And that coming through was Anton Caesar, number 59, hit Ronick at midfield.
Well, enjoy that, folks, because you're not going to see that too many times as far as stopping Ronick. As far as seeing Caesar make that play, you'll see that a lot, and you have. There's that stick. Caesar just got him and wrapped him up. You can see Ronick's reaction. He's not used to that. Very unhappy, but there's a big, big play by the Maverick defense to force a South Dakota State punt.
You are correct. That was a big defensive stop. Langland will punt it away after having the last one blocked. Gets a kick high downfield, and Anderson takes it inside the 10, comes back upfield, goes down at about the 16-yard line. Got an initial block from Chad Geiger, but was unable to overcome all of the pursuit, and so the Mavericks get it at around the 15-yard line, with the clock becoming a factor here in the first half, as the Mavericks have just 3:10 in which to move it downfield.
Well, Frank Blalard from South Dakota State, good example of never giving up. He missed an original tackle, and he stayed with the play and made the tackle finally.
Here is Turman dropping back to pass on first down. Throws to the sideline, almost picked off by Kevin Brown. It looked for a moment like it would have been a catch.
Well, you can tell. I watched Turman, and it looked as though he was looking downfield the whole time, but tight end Andy Damkroger was open at about the 25-yard line.
Second down and 10 coming up for the Mavs, deep in their own territory. Krause in motion. Draw play, handoff straight ahead, Johnny Nolan. Nolan to the 20-yard line. And again, it looked like he might have picked up some big yardage, and all of a sudden, he is knocked to the ground after a 4-yard gain. So a key third down play coming up for the Mavericks to keep the drive alive. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Man, after that last possession when the Mavericks started to drive and then bogged down after the penalty, this will be a big, big play if they can convert this.
Again, Krause in motion to the far side of the field. Turman with the long count, takes the handoff, options to the outside. The quick toss taken by Nolan. Down he goes at about the 22 or 23-yard line. And that'll be short of the first down, so the Mavericks will have to punt it away here with time running down.
Well, originally it looked like a good call coming to the short side of the field with the option. You don't have a lot of room to operate, but that can cause problems for the defense. So the defense doing a good job to gang tackle Nolan and stop him short of the first down line.
Kevin Rue standing back inside his 10-yard line. It's a good snap, not much of a rush. Kick is away. Brown coming up at his own 38-yard line to the 40. Cuts back inside, and down he goes. Mavericks pursuing extremely well.
Now again, it's Zarley. Zarley getting down quickly on the release at the snap, and he's able to force Brown to do the dance, tap dance, and he was able to wrap him up and bring him down.
So the Jacks have it at the 41-yard line, 1:33 remaining here in the first half of play. Tie game at 7. Feldheim immediately goes to the shotgun formation. Drops back, looks over the middle. He's going long downfield, and he overthrows his intended receiver, Buchholz. Mavericks had double coverage back, so it's 2nd and long.
Well, that was nice coverage, forcing Feldheim to throw it. He actually just overthrew his receiver. Tyree Kellogg was the main guy on the receiver for the Mavericks.
Kellogg is an all-NCC performer. Back again for could be another outstanding year. Again, direct snap to Feldheim, looking out to the right flat. The pass is in and out of the hands of Andrew Brandt, who was open in the flat on the right side.
Yeah, you can see now Chad Geiger and Kellogg, they're talking it over because somebody blew a coverage there. Brandt catches that, easily has a first down. He was too open. He was just all alone. And I think he got a little excited. It was kind of an awkward angle to try to catch a pass, but, you know, a player at this level needs to make that catch. So the Mavericks, again, get a break.
3rd down coming up in 10. Not much time being used off the clock by South Dakota State. The Mavericks stop him here. They'll have a little bit of time to work. Here's a pass thrown and caught. It is complete inside the 45-yard line. Pass taken by Shepherdson. And now that'll stop the clock as they move the stick. South Dakota State will have it at the UNO 43-yard line.
So Feldheim converts on another 3rd down, and the Mavericks going to have to put a rock in the hole in the dam here.
Back goes Feldheim again, now having trouble. Now fires out of the pocket, catches Ronick at about the 39-yard line, a gain of 4. And now South Dakota State takes a timeout with 1:02 remaining here in the first half. Trying to get that ball into good field position. If they can't get it all the way in, at least they can break the tie, or at least have the opportunity to do so.
60-second timeout.
Sprint, PCS.
So South Dakota State, I'm sorry, Jim, go ahead.
Well, I was just looking down the line to see what South Dakota State had done this year, and actually, they haven't even attempted a field goal, which you would find somewhat surprising. Although, then again, when you look at the scoring, they scored a win over Ferris State in their opener, 34-24, and then lost to Chadron State 31-21.
To Northern Colorado. If you're interested in
well, the thing that gets me too, though, is with Ronick last week with that, even though they lost the 17th ranked Chadron, Ronick is now one of the top 10 rushers career-wise in Division II. And he has to his record, he has several 200-yard rushing games, but at one point he rushed for 296 yards.
Mavericks have the 2 turnovers, one on a pass interception and one on a fumble. I don't believe the Jacks have turned it over, have they? Other than the punt block.
Yeah, you're right.
Feldheim out of the shotgun once again. Drops back under some pressure. Now throws over the middle, and it's incomplete. Threw it just slightly behind Chris Gary. Otherwise, that one could have been a completion and enough for the first down, but it's now going to bring up 3rd down. 3rd down coming up, and, well, the scoreboard says 3rd and 7. All right, they mark it down at the 40. We'll go along with that. 3rd down and 7 for the Jacks with 58 seconds remaining. Here in the first half, 7-7 ball game. Feldheim gets some strong pressure, is hit, and just as he started to release it, and it's meet at the quarterback time, Kevin Robinson and Adrian Stovall really nailed Feldheim.
Well, the Mavericks were showing blitz, and that's exactly what they did. We have a jackrabbit down on the field after that play as well.
Tom Higbee.
And, but man, the Mavericks just sent everybody. Perfect timing for a play like that. Here they come, and there you see the hit on the backside by Robinson.
Woo.
And that pass didn't even come close to where Feldheim wanted to be. As you get a look at Higbee, one of their big offensive linemen. But I'll tell you what, great defensive call. And I mean, that's what you hope to do in this situation. You hope to catch an offense in the hurry-up mode. And you pick your spot when to blitz. And that was a perfect time because Feldheim didn't see it, couldn't call it off, couldn't switch off the original play. It was too late, and everything happened for the Mavericks' benefit.
You have to wonder, the Mavericks have all 3 timeouts remaining, how they will approach this, depending, of course, on field position. Ball is at the Maverick 40-yard line, so there's a possibility that Jason Langland could pin the Mavericks deep, assuming, of course, that they don't go for it on 4th down. But here comes Feldheim comes back in from the sideline. Probably not a bad call. What do you think?
No, I mean, I guess in this situation, you figure the way your defense, in this case, Jackrabbits, have been able to keep the Mavericks from really doing anything big. So why not try?
Back goes Feldheim again, throws, his pass is caught. We got a flag down, and Chris Gary run out of bounds over inside the 30. That would be enough for the first down, but now we're going to check the penalty, which appears to be against South Dakota State.
I'm thinking something happened in the interior of the line.
It's a holding call coming up against the Jackrabbits.
Now, these are the things that make coaches get old quickly. The Mavericks are moving, then they get called for a penalty.
Holding. Offense. Repeat. 4th down.
And then the Jackrabbits here kind of have something going. They go for it on 4th down. They would have had the first down, but now they get called for holding. So both coaches, I can see them feeling the frustration of, man, what are you trying to do? We accomplish what we want to, but then you have a penalty and it kills everything for us.
Now the whole situation changes as the clock continues to run under 40 seconds. And South Dakota State, if they're looking at the play clock, can let a few more seconds go off the clock before they actually have to punt it. Mavericks will just be content to run out what little time remains. Langland gets the snap and sends it down the middle of the field. Won't be chance for any type of a run back, and the Jackrabbits will down it at the 1-yard line, actually inside the 1,
wow,
with
nice
13
play.
seconds to go.
Who said Joe Ford? Joe Ford got down there, did a little balancing act with his toes at the goal line. There you get a good look at Ford over on the Jackrabbit sideline. But yeah, you're right, Jim. The penalty to South Dakota State negating their first down, that did change a lot of things. And it did chew up some time on the clock.
Well, we'll be going down on the field shortly hereafter to talk with head coach Pat Burns. We're looking around for him on the sideline. Terry Leahy down there. Seth Turman up over center. Does do the handoff. Nope, drops back to pass and throws long downfield, and it is picked off. Coming back upfield, South Dakota State has the football moving inside as he's going to be run out of bounds with just 1.2 seconds left on the clock. The ball was picked off by Justin Landis, so the Mavericks do a little bit of a gamble. And now South Dakota State will have a chance to kick a field goal with the ball spotted down on the 9-yard line.
Well, just before the snap, I was going to say there's no room for error here. None at all, because, I mean, you know, the surge goes backwards. It's a safety. And here we see he's got a lot of time. I think he surprised the South Dakota State defensive front, but there was basically triple coverage back there. And now the Jackrabbits in a great situation to go into the halftime with the lead.
Brad Cave will try for the kick. It is up, and it is good. And so South Dakota State will take a 10-7 lead into the locker room at halftime as a little gamble near the end of the first half backfires, and the Jacks get the opportunity for the field goal. That has to be a surprise, and a lot of people will say, oh, probably should have just let the clock run out. No, I love the call.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be a little adventurous. I think at this point, you can't let the kids get down on something like this, but I will admit that the call surprised me. So if I was playing for South Dakota State, I'd have got caught flat-footed.
I don't think that's a call you would have made in Brookings, but I think it's a call you make here in your home field. Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
On the sideline now with Coach Pat Burns. Pat, just talk a little bit about the play. Your defense came up with a big stop and the decision to go for it there.
Well, they did a good job. Our defense is hanging in there pretty good right now. We're not playing very well on offense. We got to execute. We got to run the ball a little bit. And, I gambled there at the end just to try to make something happen and lost a gamble, and they come out with 3 points. But we'll regroup at halftime and come out and hopefully play better.
Defense and special teams have you in this one so far. That's the basis of the game so much, isn't it?
Well, they're doing a good job. Our defense is doing a great job to this point. Special teams are doing decent. We've got to get our offense playing right now.
Good luck, Coach. Thank you very much. Coach Pat Burns, gentlemen, back up to you in the booth.
Well, it's been an entertaining first half. There's no question about it as we get ready to see the UNO band walking onto the field. Your score from Al Caniglia Field has South Dakota State 10 and the UNO Mavericks 7. You're watching KYNE TV and UNO Television Sports.
Wearing red, white, and blue ribbons in remembrance of those who lost or fallen.
Homework Hotline and Kapow make math and science a blast. Watch and take part in Homework Hotline and you could surprise your classmates with a performance by Kapow. Your school could win a fun-filled, action-packed performance of Kapow, Chemistry and Physics on Wheels, courtesy of Homework Hotline. Just call a live Homework Hotline broadcast with your math question or problem. Give us your name, school, grade or age, and your phone number and a really tough math problem, and we will automatically enter your school in the Kapow contest. Emails count too, but each person may only enter once per week for their school. See the Homework Hotline website at www.homework.unomaha.edu for complete rules and details. Watch Homework Hotline and call with your math questions Mondays and Tuesdays at 4:30 on KYNE TV, Channel 26.
Hi, I'm Carol Schrader, your host for the 4th season of Consider This. Consider This is an interview program brought to you from the heart of the University of Nebraska at Omaha campus. We explore the issues in depth with the people whose decisions affect your community and your life. It's informative, it's fast-paced, and sometimes it's downright fun. Consider This right here on KYNE TV, Channel 26.
Who's going to tell you the stories that hit you where you live, that make you think, that change your mind? Who's going to tell you the stories that open doors, that tear down walls, that change lives? Who's going to tell you the stories that matter? Frontline. This fall, look for us on Thursdays.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they slip away across the universe. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world.
Evolution premieres September 24th.
Give your
Who's going to tell you the stories that hit you where you live, that make you think, that change your mind? Who's going to tell you the stories that open doors, that tear down walls, that change lives? Who's going to tell you the stories that matter? Frontline. This fall, look for us on Thursdays.
Terry Leahy back at Caniglia Field here on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Halftime, this NCC opener between the Mavs of Nebraska Omaha and the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State University. Late field goal gives South Dakota State a 10-7 lead at the half. And I am happy to be joined by UNO women's basketball coach Lisa Carlson. Lisa, thanks for stopping by and talking with us on this telecast today. First of all, maybe I should ask you a little bit about what the prospects will be for your Maverick basketball team this year. It won't be long.
That's true. We can really get started on October 15th, and that day can't get here soon enough. You know, I really think this year's team, Terry, is going to be a lot different with just losing one senior from last year's squad and 10 returning letter winners. I really think this is the year that we're going to be able to make the jump and hopefully get to the regional tournament.
Now, as soon as you have enough players on campus at the beginning of a school year, beginning of fall semester, those players, if you have enough for two teams, those players are in that gym and playing, and that's been going on, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. They've been playing pickup 3 or 4 times a week, and really most of them have been around all summer, so they've had an opportunity to play together much of the summer, too, and hopefully that will correlate into good things come November and December.
Who are some of the women wearing the crimson and black this year that we should be looking out for here at the SAP Fieldhouse, Lisa?
Well, I think we have 2 seniors on this year's squad, Jen Mitchell from Mankato, Minnesota, and Ann Baumstead from Apple Valley, Minnesota, both of which will be significant parts, play significant parts on this year's team. Jen Mitchell was a first-team all-conference player last year. Will play some point, some off guard, and really will depend on her to score quite a bit of points for us. Ann Baumstead is a 6'2" post player, played significant minutes the last couple years, and really, I think is ready to have a great senior year as she goes out.
You came up, you can't talk about this, but you came up with a real nice success in the recruiting wars with a young person from Omaha North. I could talk about that, you can't. But talk a little bit about the main recruiting areas and how girls basketball is in the Metro Conference and in the state of Nebraska. Is that a key? Are those that conference and a statewide key for Nebraska Omaha women's basketball?
Yeah, it really is, Terry. It's something we've really focused on the last couple of years. Is really hitting the Metro hard and Metro and surrounding areas, Nebraska hard as far as recruiting. You know, there's a lot of good young players out in that area, and I really think that we focused our attention on the Metro and on Nebraska, and hopefully we can land some big recruits from not very far away from home.
Can you think of a better, more positive atmosphere for young girls than to come see NCAA college athletics with these achieving young people? This is the place to be, whether it be volleyball, the men's sports, or women's basketball, right?
Yeah, it really is. You know, a lot of times when I talk to kids in the area, I say that UNO is one of those places that they need to know more about. Usually they come up here and it's a real eye-opening experience for them to really see what we have and what we're able to offer somebody. And so I think it's just a matter of getting kids to understand what UNO is all about these days. You know, it's a very positive place to be.
Lisa, thanks for talking to us. Good luck this season. That's a UNO women's basketball coach, Lisa Carlson. We're at halftime, South Dakota State and UNO. The Jacks lead the Mavs 10-7. I'll be back in a moment to talk with UNO men's basketball coach, Kevin McKenna.
At the 45, the 40, and the 35. If they make it in at the 45, they win it.
major vision. Love. Whoever invented love ought to be shot.
Just a little touch here or a little touch there. I'm sorry, but I do not like it.
So young, so delicious. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Who's going to tell you the stories that hit you where you live, that make you think, that change your mind? Who's going to tell you the stories that open doors, that tear down walls, that change lives? Who's going to tell you the stories that matter? Frontline. This fall, look for us on Thursdays.
Back at Caniglia Field, I'm Terry Leahy. Halftime of this North Central Conference opener for South Dakota State and the home team UNO. South Dakota State leading the Mavericks 10-7. And I've been joined now by Kevin McKenna, the new men's basketball coach here at Nebraska Omaha. Kevin, first of all, how has the settling in process been? And it's getting close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting close, and it's been really hectic, but it's been really great for me. I really like my new position here, and I like being here. There's a lot of great things happening here at Nebraska Omaha, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Guys are working pretty hard, and hopefully we can get them in the right frame of mind and have a good season.
Kevin, you played at Creighton University, the late 70s and early 80s. An athletic department, especially then with the late great Irma Trumbauer and the late Lee Bevelak, the late Joe Venardi, those great supporters of the program. You played for Tom Apke. Those are the days of a family atmosphere there. I've noticed that in this athletic department in the years I've been covering the sports here, especially with UNO hockey, and that's brought me into it very closely. Do you feel that family atmosphere here at 60th and Dodge?
Yeah, I do. I think, and that's the kind of thing I'd like to bring to this, too, with our guys, and try to make it a family atmosphere and a fun place to be on a Friday or Saturday night when we have most of our games. I had a great experience at Creighton with Tom Apke and the players that I had as my teammates, and in the last 7 years being at Creighton as an assistant with Coach Altman and the guys there have been great. And we'd like to have a similar type atmosphere here, and I think they do. And like I said, I'm glad to be a part of it.
Players have been in the weight room. David Noonan running that operation. How is that going?
David and Colleen Berry have been working them pretty hard, and I think we're making some progress there. I think when you hit the weights, you get mentally stronger, and psychologically you might have an edge there here and there, but it also helps you on the court a little bit. But I think our guys are putting in time and effort, and as long as they do that, hopefully we can get them going in the right direction.
How good will this team be this year? How will it match up in the North Central Conference?
Well, I think our conference is very balanced, really tough, top to bottom. Our non-conference schedule is tremendous. We're playing 2 Division I schools, and we're playing in a high-level Division II tournament in Orlando for our guys to go down there for a nice trip. But it's going to be really competitive. I have no idea what our record's going to be. I just want to see us get out there and be in games and be competitive and fight a little bit. And if we do that, I think we'll win our share.
How has being a head basketball or football coach in the modern college game changed from when you were playing for Tom Apke at Creighton? I would imagine you almost feel like a Rotarian right now, just being around town, right?
I've been eating a lot of chicken and stuff. The Kiwanis and I've got a ton of them coming up here, which is right before basketball season. That's when they'd like to have you anyway. So I have no problem doing that. I enjoy meeting new people and trying to get them interested in our program. But it's just part of again, developing some contacts and developing some people that might have some interest in coming to watch us.
Kevin, good luck this year with the Mavs.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks for being with us. Kevin McKenna, men's basketball coach here at Nebraska Omaha. It's the halftime. UNO is trailing South Dakota State 10-7 in this football game. We'll be back after this.
One on this end.
Back at Caniglia Field, I'm Terry Leahy. Halftime of this North Central Conference opener for South Dakota State and the home team UNO. South Dakota State leading the Mavericks 10-7. And I've been joined now by Kevin McKenna, the new men's basketball coach here at Nebraska Omaha. Kevin, first of all, how has the settling in process been? And it's getting close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting close, and it's been really hectic, but it's been really great for me. I really like my new position here, and I like being here. There's a lot of great things happening here at Nebraska Omaha, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Guys are working pretty hard, and hopefully we can get them in the right frame of mind and have a good season.
Kevin, you played at Creighton University the late 70s and early 80s. An athletic department, especially then with the late great Irma Trumbauer and the late Lee Bevelak, with the late Joe Venardi, those great supporters of the program. You played for Tom Apke. Those are the days of a family atmosphere there. I've noticed that in this athletic department in the years I've been covering the sports here, especially with UNO hockey, and that's brought me into it very closely. Do you feel that family atmosphere here at 60th and Dunn?
Yeah, I do. I think, and that's the kind of thing I'd like to bring to this too with our guys, and try to make it a family atmosphere and a fun place to be on a Friday or Saturday night when we have most of our games. I had a great experience at Creighton with Tom Apke and the players that I had as my teammates, and in the last 7 years being at Creighton as an assistant with Coach Altman and the guys there have been great. And we'd like to have a similar type atmosphere here, and I think they do. And like I said, I'm glad to be a part of it.
Players have been in the weight room. David Noonan running that operation. How is that going?
David and Colleen Berry have been working them pretty hard, and I think we're making some progress there. I think when you hit the weights, you get mentally stronger, and psychologically might have an edge there here and there, but it also helps you on the court a little bit. But I think our guys are putting in time and effort, and as long as they do that, hopefully we can get them going in the right direction.
How good will this team be this year? How will it match up in the North Central Conference?
Well, I think our conference is very balanced, really tough, top to bottom. Our non-conference schedule is tremendous. We're playing 2 Division I schools, and we're playing in a high-level Division II tournament in Orlando for our guys to go down there for a nice trip. But it's going to be really competitive. I have no idea what our record's going to be. I just want to see us get out there and be in games and be competitive and fight a little bit. And if we do that, I think we'll win our share.
How has being a head basketball or football coach in the modern college game changed from when you were playing for Tom Apke at Creighton? I would imagine you almost feel like a Rotarian right now, just being around town, right?
I've been eating a lot of chicken and stuff. The Kiwanis and I've got a ton of them coming up here, which is right before basketball season. That's when they'd like to have you anyway. So I have no problem doing that. I enjoy meeting new people and trying to get them interested in our program. But it's just part of again, developing some contacts and developing some people that might have some interest in coming to watch us.
Kevin, good luck this year with the Mavs.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks for being with us. Kevin McKenna, men's basketball coach here at Nebraska Omaha. It's the halftime. UNO is trailing South Dakota State 10-7 in this football game. And we'll be back after this.
Whoever invented love ought to be shot.
Just a little touch here or a little touch there.
I'm sorry, but I do not like it. Delicious. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Who's going to tell you the stories that hit you where you live, that make you think, that change your mind? Who's going to tell you the stories that open doors, that tear down walls, that change lives? Who's going to tell you the stories that matter? Frontline. This fall, look for us on Thursdays.
Terry Lee back at Caniglia Field, halftime. South Dakota State leads Nebraska-Omaha 10-7. So we spoke with Lisa Carlson, a Nebraska-Omaha women's basketball coach, and the new men's coach, Kevin McKenna. Should be an exciting season for the Mavs. South Dakota State coming up with a late field goal. Let's go back now to the booth here, up in the press box, Caniglia Field. Back to Jim Kelder and Tori Pantalian with some statistics, fellas.
10-7 lead for South Dakota State. Some bizarre antics near the end of the first half, but certainly as Tori and I assessed it, I think it was probably, you know, a nice call you make. When you're at home, you take a chance, and if it doesn't work for you, you come back and you get it, you make up for it in the second half. When you look at the stats, they're none too surprising, although probably total yardage, I guess I wouldn't have thought South Dakota State was up, but that's the case here, not by much. As you see, time of possession in favor of the Jacks, and about everything in their favor with the exception of rushing yardage, and the Mavericks have done a pretty good job, I think, of containing Josh Ronick to this point.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, out of all the stats, that would be the one that would catch my eye. I mean, you have this guy who is no stranger to 200-plus yards rushing per game, and as I said, he's ranked 10th now all-time in Division II. He's coming off 2 weeks ago. He had 235-yard rushing, and he had 5 touchdowns. So the Mavericks have been able to shut him down. The difference, of course, being those 2 Seth Turman interceptions. And those are what really hurt him. Plus that one play early in the game, Jim, where Turman hit Mike Nizzi for a 51-yard pass play, but then Nizzi fumbled the ball and South Dakota State recovered. And I think that kind of set the tone. Now that I look back, that really set the tone early in the game, because had the Mavericks been able to maintain possession, we're probably looking at a different situation on the scoreboard, but that's a moot point, because the reality is South Dakota State does lead 10-7 on that last, matter of fact, it was the last play of the first half, the field goal, after the interception set them up on the Maverick 9-yard line.
Seth Turman has gone to the air just 5 times, completed 2, and has had 2 passes intercepted. Dan Feldheim, 9 out of 20 for 121 yards, but amazingly enough, his leading receiver is the running back, Josh Ronick, with 72 yards on 4 receptions, including a long one of 42 yards, which resulted in a touchdown. Mavericks will receive when we start the second half. They trail 10-7 here at Al Caniglia Field, and again, I think we have been very fortunate in having the rains hold off. This could get just a little bit dicey here in the second half if we were to get some rain. And in fact, Terry, I might have him go down on the sideline and check out the footing on the field. You can see some dampness, but it doesn't appear that anybody is slipping.
Jim?
Yes.
Okay, you could hear me. I'm heading back. I was out there a few moments ago. We were trying to get Coach Stiglmeyer, but he hadn't come out there. It doesn't feel that bad. There's a little bit of a coating. Could have even been the turf holding some moisture from earlier in the week somehow. It certainly didn't factor into Nizzi's fumble back earlier in the first half, so it shouldn't be a big problem right now. No moisture coming down as we speak. Back to you, fellas.
Hey, Terry, I was just wondering, would you do a 40-yarder for us so we can time you?
The game will be much better. Just keep the cameras right where they are on this kickoff, folks. Please.
Mavericks set to receive, and here we go to start the second half. This is a short kick this time. Bouncing and finally picked up by Anderson to the 25. Anderson gets to the 30-yard line, and so on the short kick, the Mavericks will get excellent field position.
Yeah, not bad field position, especially for what happened, Jim. There was a little bit of confusion there with the returners for the Mavericks, and finally Anderson decided, well, I'm going to take charge, I'll pick it up and go. So they start again at the 30-yard line, and most of the game the Mavericks haven't had bad starting field position, but because we got to look at the Maverick coaching staff on the sideline, they'd like to see this offense do something right away.
Mavericks send 2 receivers to the near side, but the handoff comes to Nolan, and Nolan picks up 5 quick yards over the right side. South Dakota State again closes in a hurry. Number 32 was Jeff Schultz, and number 21 coming over Mike Cool.
Well, I think it's important, especially if you remember what Coach Burns said at the end of the first half, that he felt the offense really wasn't doing well, and they need to get things going before too long, or else they're going to be on the short end of the score here.
Second down for the Mavericks. Ball on the near hash mark. Turman hands off to Nolan, and Nolan fights for some room, gets across the 40 to the 42, and now a flag comes out over on the far side. And that does not bode well for the Mavericks, I would not think.
Yeah, no, not on that area of the field, unless defensive guy grabbed a face mask or something of the offensive lineman. But it's going to go against the Mavericks.
Well, the Mavericks have really had some problems with the mistakes on penalties, a couple of, 3 turnovers to be exact. Go back to those first half stats, and in terms of penalties, the Mavericks penalized 3 times for 36 yards, and South Dakota State 3 times for 25. So not a whole lot of difference there to amount to anything at this point. But that was a big penalty there, making it second down now and 15 coming up for the Mavericks.
Anytime you break your offensive rhythm, such as the Mavericks have had this series, yeah, it's not a positive.
Here's a handoff again, and Nolan goes across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. South Dakota State just playing containment here.
Well, so far, other than they had that one sustained drive that bogged down, and then they had that long pass we talked about to Nizzi. Then he fumbled when he got hit from behind. Other than that, the Mavericks really haven't been able to open it up very well. They haven't been successful, and you got to give the credit to the South Dakota State defense.
Third down call coming up, 3rd and 12 from the Maverick 28-yard line. 4-man front, faced by Turman. Drops back, throws to the sideline, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver here on the near side, John Dustin. So it will bring up 4th down, and the Mavericks will have to punt it away.
Well, Crimson and Black are going to have to find a way to get some rhythm going on offense and sustain it, because once they do get the rhythm, we saw that big penalty, the holding penalty set them back, and the same thing happened in the first half in that big drive. Penalty set them back and changed the complexion of how they approached the game after that.
Kevin Rue standing inside the 15-yard line. Gets the good snap. Not much of a rush is on. A good high kick sailing down to Kevin Brown at the 32-yard line. Back upfield he comes. A flag goes down. Looks like we could get a couple of penalties, and I think this one will go against South Dakota State.
Yeah, on the far side, it appeared as though Conrad Parks got blocked in the back. Blocked from behind. He wasn't clipped, but he was blocked from behind. So we have a Maverick down at the 40-yard line. So as the trainers attend to the down Maverick, we've got another illegal block on South Dakota State.
That one will take the field position away from the Jacks. They would have had it at the 38-yard line. And it will be assessed at the spot of the foul.
That's Lawrence Butler down at the 40-yard line, Jim. He's flat on his back, but he is moving. So
both teams have suffered injuries this season. Josh Ronick has been injured most of last season. The Jacks started out with 5 consecutive wins, lost 5, and then won their final. The Mavericks, on the other hand, are the defending NCC champions, and I think for the most part last year they were able to get through the season virtually injury-free, but not so this year. Buck Rasmussen and Gherkin going down with injuries, and now hopefully down on the field, Lawrence Butler. They are still trying to get him back on his feet, as they do right now, so hopefully he will be all right.
I think he might have just got the wind knocked out of him. Now he's starting to favor that left leg.
Hopefully he can walk that off.
Yeah. sometimes the non-serious injuries hurt the worst. It's like fouling a ball off your foot in baseball. Sometimes you think like the world is going to end, but you'll be okay when it's all over.
Ball spotted back at the 28-yard line, South Dakota State football, as they begin their first offensive series here in the second half, nursing a 10-7 lead. Fake handoff, back goes Feldheim, throws over the middle. The pass is caught, I believe, by Shepardson. They say no, he trapped it at the 38 or 39-yard line. He had good coverage on the play, but he was open momentarily over the middle. 2nd and 10.
Chad Geiger and Brian Everett over there, and that was one of those passes that you see a lot at the NFL level. It's thrown in such a way that either the receiver will catch it or no one will catch it. At that time, Feldheim got it a little too low because the receiver was open, and the ball skipped off the turf.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 coming up for the Jacks. Feldheim again, dropping back to pass. Looks over the middle. Now he's hit in the backfield and dropped. And the guy getting there is number 51, Ryan Stubendek. Stubendek coming in from his tackle spot and making the stop, and they are getting some pressure on Feldheim, and I think that's probably the key to the ball game.
Well, at this point it is, because what pocket there has been the last few times Feldheim's gone back has collapsed quickly.
You can see Stubendek fighting off a blocker and still getting there to make this tackle. 3rd down now, ball spotted back to the 22-yard line, 3rd and 16. Obvious passing situation for the Jacks. Play action again. Out of the backfield is Ronick, fights off of a tackle, gets free again, and finally is still on his feet and run out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. There's a flag down again, and it was way back on about the 7-yard line. Looks like a hold coming up against South Dakota State. So this one will come back once again.
Well, this is an interesting situation for the Mavericks with it being a 3rd down play. Do you take the play and make it 4th at about 3, or do you take the penalty and give Ronick another shot? You saw what he did. He came up short of the 1st down, but he got back a lot of yards on that play. And I would think if the Mavericks refused the penalty that the Jackrabbits would punt. I mean, they're still deep enough in their territory.
They're going to move them back. Wow. They're going to keep moving them.
Okay.
I think the main reason, because the line of scrimmage is the 22. So now you're back at the 12-yard line, and you've got 26 yards to pick up on 3rd down. The Mavericks think they can play contain and still force South Dakota State to kick deep out of their own territory. Probably very good call. Feldheim out of the shotgun once again, this time standing inside his 10-yard line. The snap drops back to the 2, now throws out of the middle. It's going to be intercepted. Coming back upfield with the football is Thomas Hubbard, and he is down. Hubbard knocked out of bounds, makes the nice interception, and takes it back to the 18-yard line.
Well, the call that Coach Burns made that time worked. Not only did it get the Mavericks the ball back, but it gets it inside the 20-yard line. You see Feldheim look this way, but he overthrows his receiver. Perfect setup for an interception by Hubbard. And he'll catch a block here. Nice move inside, and he gets it down to the South Dakota State 20-yard line. The Mavericks are in business now.
Seth Turman up over center. Options to the outside. Quick pitch taken by Nolan. He's going to go down at the 21 or 22-yard line. And South Dakota State is playing good containment. Justin Landis over there to make sure Nolan goes nowhere. They are forcing Turman to pitch it.
Yeah, and I think he's pitching when he doesn't really want to. And that time, Landis again. Landis has made a couple of plays on the option wide. He's a defensive back, so he's coming up making the stop. But nobody is there for interference. They're leaving the running the pitch back all alone. He has to have some help back there.
Second down and 14 coming up for the Mavs. Turman hands off to Nolan on a draw play, 20-15-10. And Nolan down inside the 10 and down to about the 7-yard line. And that's enough for the first down.
The ball carrier.
Good inside blocking by the up front lineman for UNO, but I think the backers bit for that fake handoff wide to this side because that was a really nice quick opener, and Nolan just had a lot of room. But the guys up front open up a nice big hole in that one play action. There you see Nolan just skips off to the right after the line blocks down, giving him a lot of room to get out there.
First and goal for the Mavericks at the Jackrabbit 7. Turman hands off to Nolan once again, cuts back inside, and Turman gets to the 2-yard line, and that's about it. A 5-yard gain up the middle, and obviously that offensive line is really clearing it out. Let's go down to Terry Leahy. All right, keep it here for right now. The ball's set down at the 2-yard line. It'll be second down and goal from that point. Nolan in the backfield along with Dustin Donahue out of the fullback spot. Turman hands off to Nolan once again, and he blasts his way into the end zone over the left side. Josh Weir, Dave Sutter, and Lucas Brigman clearing it out for the Mavericks, and the Mavericks take the lead by a score of 13-10.
Well, the Mavericks doing a good job turning that turnover into 6 points. Just good, straight ahead, slug it out football with the offensive line clearing out openings for Nolan.
Troy Severson will try to add the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. So the Mavericks have a 14-10 lead with 9:36 remaining here in the third period.
9:36 remaining in the third quarter.
I think the big thing on that one is what we just talked about. They force a third and forever for South Dakota State's offense, and Feldheim ends up throwing an interception, and then you see Nolan just plowing in from 2 yards out for the Mavericks touchdown, first offensive touchdown of the game.
So the Mavs now have taken a little bit of control here with that interception. And turnovers, you talk so much about being on the plus side. That's a pretty good indicator of why coaches are so adamant.
They just got a ground level look at Nolan going in. We're straight behind the offensive line, and you can see those guys up front just plow open a big, big gap.
So we're set for the kickoff. Ball sailing deep downfield. Kevin Brown at the 4. Back upfield looking for the hole. Gets to the 15, goes down at about the 17-yard line. And coming up to make the stop was Brian Klein. And so the Jacks will have it deep in their own territory. Mark it down at the 18-yard line. First down and 10 for South Dakota State. Mavericks coming out here in the second half and doing a pretty good job. Their first series, they moved the football, but then a penalty set them back, forcing them into second and long. They end up coming up short, and after kicking it away, they picked off a Feldheim pass and went in for the score. Right now 14-10, but there's a shot of Lawrence Butler up trying to walk off that injury. Here's a handoff to Ronick, and Ronick is going nowhere this time, down at about the 18-yard line. Coming in to make the stop on that play was Adrian Hernandez. Let's go down to Terry Leahy. We're still having a little bit of trouble getting downstairs, so we'll hang on for a moment. Second down and 9 coming up for the Jacks. Ball at the 18-yard line. Feldheim back under center, now drops back, throws over the middle. A pass is caught. At the 25-yard line, coming up and hanging on somehow is Josh Buckholz. Mavericks all around him, but Buckholz managed to hang on to the football. They spot it at the 26. It'll be third down. 3rd and 2 coming up for SDSU. $8:15 to go here in the period number 3. Mavericks on top 14-10, and the crowd starting to get into the ball game. Feldheim dropping straight back again. Now runs out of the pocket, looks for the first down, and picks up the first down as he crosses the 30, gets to the 32-yard line. Knocked down there by Ryan Stubendek, and the Jacks have the first down. So they did a nice job being very patient and moved the chains once more.
Well, the thing is, if you're Coach Stiegelmeier from South Dakota State, the last thing you want is to see your quarterback having to run as much as we've seen Feldheim run when he drops back to pass. But in this case, he gets the first down. For the Mavericks, though, the good thing is they're just out. The Jackrabbits are just outside their own 30.
Slot right formation for the Jacks. Here's the handoff to Ronick. Ronick breaks into the secondary, gets across the 40, and up near another first down. Making the stop on the play was Chad Geiger. Now let's go down to Terry Leahy.
Thanks, Jim. I'm back on. Tom Freddy, athletic trainer at UNO, was nice enough to come over and talk to me. You guys are trying to come down on the field to me, and he was giving me a real nice report. Nice of him to do that. We thank him a lot. Lawrence Butler had that left ankle taped earlier. He was starting to move. Looked like he was going to play. He told defensive coordinator Vokalek that he was going to play, but now they've taken the tape off and have gone with the ice again. By the way, Adrian Stovall had a contusion to the shoulder. He never even came back, as you can imagine. That guy never even came back to the training area. He should be okay. Back to you in the booth.
So it is enough for the first down for South Dakota State. 7:29 to go here in period number 3. And this has been a back and forth affair. Both teams just staying in the trenches and going at it. South Dakota State going to the air a little more. UNO relying on a very strong ground attack. Feldheim hands off to Ronick straight ahead. He's got some running room again. Chad Geiger hits him at about the 47, and Ronick falls forward to the 50. Again, big yardage on first down.
Well, now you can see South Dakota State getting in a little bit of a rhythm. But both teams have done things to shoot themselves in the foot once they get something going. And it's amazing to me that Ronick has hurt the Mavericks on that one long pass play for a touchdown. He hasn't basically done it with big chunks of yardage on the ground.
2nd and short coming up. Feldheim up under center. Mavs almost jump. Here's the handoff to Ronick, and he's got it up for the first downs. He fights his way down to the 45 and down to the 44-yard line. Just chewing up big chunks of yardage. Getting up off the bottom of the pile there is Stovall, also getting an assist out of Adrian Hernandez. But another first down for the Jackrabbits as they move into Maverick territory at the 44-yard line. First down and 10. Mavericks lead 14-10. 2 wideouts to the near side. Straight I formation for the Jackrabbits. Back goes Feldheim, looks to the side, now fires all alone. Caught downfield and knocked out of bounds inside the 20. Shepardson was all alone in the flat, and again, I think a Maverick defender might have missed an assignment.
Well, Shepardson does find himself wide open as he comes across this way. Lined up on that side, on the right side on your screen, and he's just kind of curled out. He went down about 5 yards and he curled out. Then he found himself open, so he angled a little more downfield.
First down and 10. The Jacks are very impressive on this drive. They continue to move. Hand off to Ronick again. Tripped down this time. Stovall gets him back at around the 19 and Ronick falls forward to about the 17 or 16 yard line.
Good read by the defense on that one because Feldheim had gone to the pass, but the Maverick up front defense was able to read that one out because it looked like it was going to be a play-action pass.
Jeff Hesse goes wide to the right side. And back goes, there's a handoff again to Ronick. He's got a big hole across the 10 and inside the 10 down to about the 7 or 6 yard line and up for the first down.
Well, the right side of that offensive line, great seal blocks. Travis Moten was put right down on the turf. And Stovall, or I should say Ronick, was able to make a quick move. Actually, he didn't have to do much. He just had to run through the hole.
So the Jacks now back in business at the Maverick 7 yard line. It'll be first and goal. Actually, the ball just inside the 7. We'll call it first and goal from the 6. And off to Ronick. Big pileup right there after about a yard gain at the 5 yard line. It'll be second and goal. Mavericks that time tightening up in the middle, going into their goal line defense. At the very bottom of that pile is Ryan Hoffman.
Well, they've had success the last 3 plays going to Ronick. And you'd think once they get down into this territory, he's already proven that he can hammer it in.
The Jackrabbit backs this time are split. And Feldheim hands off to Ronick, cuts to the outside, cuts back to the inside. Down he goes at about the 2 yard line, maybe just inside the 2 to the 1, and it'll bring up third down. So third down coming up, a big third down for the Mavs. Of course, it's your South Dakota State. You're probably, even if you get stopped here, you're probably thinking about going for it.
Yeah, with Ronick, I can see that.
Third and goal. Maverick fans starting to get into it once again. Feldheim hands off to Ronick. Pile straight ahead, goes into the end zone. Touchdown. Josh Ronick, the workhorse on that drive, and South Dakota State regains the lead at 16-14 with 3:33 to go here in the third period.
Well, on that whole drive, that was nothing. I mean, Feldheim worked the pass early. He had a great catch and play down here on this side inside the Maverick 30-yard line by Shepardson. And then it was just let's pound Ronick until the Mavericks can't stop him. And they got into the end zone.
Here's the drive for the extra point, which is good. Brad Cave knocks it through, and it's South Dakota State on top, 17-14.
Cave, a little bit of a throwback. Just trying to think who were one of the last straight-on kickers in the NFL. Jim Bakken was one that I think of. Freddie Cox. Was it Fred Cox up in Minnesota?
Yep.
Those are, I think, are some of the last straight-on kickers before we got into the soccer style.
Ronick just bowls his way into the end zone.
Yeah, look at the hole here, Jim. They did a good job of putting the tight end in motion as well, and then he slowed to almost make an extra blocking back. And Ronick just goes over Chad Geiger for the touchdown.
So the Mavericks now will get it back with 3:33 remaining here in the third period, trailing 17-14. Here's the boot sailing downfield again. It is short, and coming back up field with it over the middle to the 35, up to the 37 or 38 yard line is Johnny Nolan. and he is down there, but the Mavericks will have it in very good field position at the 37. Well, we would like to thank RSC for providing the lift today that we are using for our end zone camera.
And there you see it right there behind the Maverick band on the, I'm turning around here. Let's see, that would be the north end zone?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay.
Always providing us with very good shots, and we've had very good shots all over the field today. Mavericks on first down. Turman, hand off to Nolan, and Nolan again fights for some room, gets to the 41-yard line.
Johnny Nolan, the ball
fighting off
carrier.
a shoestring tackle by Chris Coyote.
Nolan's had a pretty busy day. He was in the first series, offensive series of the game for the Mavericks. Spelled a little bit by Johnston, and then Nolan has come back. But right now, again, the Mavericks need to answer South Dakota State's score in some way.
Second down coming up. Mavericks out of the I formation. Donahue and Nolan in the backfield. Here's Turman on the quick pitch to the outside. Nolan 40, 45, and Nolan into South Dakota State territory. And this time there is room down that sideline. Johnny Nolan picking up big yardage for the Mavericks.
Well, Nolan doing a good job once he gets the ball, but Turman makes the play because he waits till the very last second to make the pitch. You'll see it here. Now watch the Jackrabbit player right there. He gives up on Nolan and goes for the quarterback. And then Nolan just turns the corner and he gets outdistances Landis.
Kraus goes in motion to the far side of the field. Turman drops back, hands off to Nolan straight ahead. Nolan fights inside the 45, down to the 43
Nolan, the ball
line,
carrier.
and getting 4 yards on the play.
Stopped by
One of the Maverick defenders I saw come off the field a little while ago, Kevin Robinson, getting stretched out. It may have taken a hit to the shoulder.
Yeah, he's over there where Lawrence Butler is, back here on the training tables.
Mavericks on second down from the 43-yard line in Jackrabbit territory. Turman with the long count, hands off to the fullback, Donahue. And he blasts over the left side. I don't know. See where the officials are going to mark it down. Yeah, they say, I think right about at the 42-yard line. So they give him only a yard on the play. Mavericks trying to catch South Dakota State over-committing to the pitch to the outside. But they didn't leave the middle uncovered.
Yeah, I think Donahue was upset with himself because he tripped over his own player. He tripped over the tackle's foot on that side.
3rd and 5 here. Single setback, Johnny Nolan. Here's Turman on the option to the outside. Again, the pitch, he threw it away. It goes out of bounds at the front of the Maverick bench. And so it's going to bring up a 4th down. The ball will be spotted at the 48-yard line. Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
Kevin Robinson was having his shoulder looked at. They gave it some ice. He went back into the defensive level on the sidelines. He's now has his helmet back on. He's out on the field. Defensive coordinator DJ Vokalek stressing, don't let Ronick go up the middle. We're containing him outside, but how can this guy beat us up the middle? So, and that wasn't quite the words he was using, fellas, but you get the message. Back to you.
Kevin Rue will punt it away. It's a good snap and sails one downfield. Kevin Brown deep will try to take it and does at about the 7. And he's going to be nailed back at about the 10-yard line. Fumble football. What did the officials call it? They're going to say he was down. Mavericks have it. They haven't given us an indication.
Yeah, the Mavericks did pounce on it. The ball was loose. I think what made it the visual a little more dramatic is that Brown was on his back when the ball came loose rather than usually the player's on top of the ball, and at that point he was down. It's what the officials are ruling. The ball didn't. We'll see it here.
I think probably on second effort is where they're going to say Mavericks had him down, and he was just still battling around. They think he was down, but you'll get a good view of it. As good as we have, or better.
By a couple of people here. There's the initial hit.
Also a holding penalty on the play against South Dakota State, putting the ball down at the 5-yard line. So the Jackrabbits now pinned deep in their own territory with time running out here in period number 3. South Dakota State leading it 17-14.
Well, there's an opportunity for the Maverick defense to come up big once again with the Jackrabbits this far back in their own territory.
Here's the handoff to guess who? Josh Ronick, and he piles it out for about 5 tough yards. So South Dakota State's offensive line is really moving some bodies. Second down coming up, as you can see, time running down here in the third quarter. South Dakota State just content to at least hang on to the football. This will be the final play, I would assume, here in the third period, because I think South Dakota State will keep it on the ground deep in their own territory. Second down, handoff to Ronick straight ahead. He hikes through the middle, gets up to the 15-yard line, and enough, I think, for the first down as he crosses the 15. Chad Geiger was there, along with number 59, Anton Caesar.
Well, you know, Coach Vokalek is right. They've done a good job to keep Ronick from running around either end and getting big chunks of yards, but they just can't seem to stop him when he goes up the middle, and that's what he's been doing in the last couple of series for South Dakota State. The line gets the meat going and blows open a hole, and Ronick's able to scoot through it.
So the third period comes to an end here at Al Caniglia Field with the South Dakota State Jackrabbits leading it by a score of 17-14. Well, the rebroadcast of this game can be seen next week on the Knowledge Network of Greater Omaha, Cox Communication Channel 17, or Quest TV Channel 77. Tune in this Tuesday at 9 a.m. or Wednesday at 7 p.m. And all of this compliments of UNO Television. Into the modern miracle of the internet, which is just an enigma for some. You can surf the internet just beginning Monday. Go to untv.unomaha.edu. Watch it on your computer.
Well, let's hope at least for Maverick fans there'll be a happy thing to watch. At this point, their offense, well, the offense took advantage of the interception to punch it in for the first offensive touchdown. Prior to that, the only points they got was on an interception. Or, I'm sorry, on a block punt that was run into the end zone for a touchdown. So they're still looking for that offense to come alive in this game, but you have to credit South Dakota State's defense as well.
Jackrabbits on first down. They picked up an initial first down after taking over at the 5-yard line. Fake handoff, rolling out is Feldheim, looking downfield, now throws, it is incomplete. Had a receiver in the flat. You couldn't hang on. That's Shepherdson over on the far side, and it's second down and 10.
I think instead of pumping, Feldheim would have been better off throwing the first time, because Shepherdson, they were on the right angle with each other, but he faked. It looked like he was going to run, and I think he kind of faked out Shepherdson, because Shepherdson turned around to block to run downfield, and then Feldheim throws the ball.
Yeah, the nice thing about seeing South Dakota State throw on first down, that only gives Ronick 2 cracks at it. It's with 2 downs here. Second down coming up, so got to get it done on these 2, and maybe Feldheim may elect to go to the air. Now they're going to have a problem with the signals, so Feldheim calls a timeout to avoid the delay of game.
Well, fullback Brian King, when they came up to the set, King looked back and was saying something to Ronick. And then Feldheim turned around and said something to King, and then looked at Ronick and said, wait a minute, we need to talk this over. We're getting a little confused. But the Maverick defense can, with the benefit of that incomplete pass, as Jim was saying, not only does give 2 chances with Ronick, and Maverick defense has come up when it's had to a couple of times today but not enough to where it could keep South Dakota State off the scoreboard. As you get a good look at Feldheim coming back to the huddle for South Dakota State. So right now, if the Mavericks can force, if South Dakota State elects to pass, force another incomplete pass, or stuff the run and bring up a 3rd and long.
So it'll be 2nd down coming up. We'll be going down to Terry Leahy after this play. 2nd down and 10 from the 16-yard line. Here's the handoff straight ahead to Ronick, and he goes down at about the 19. Only 3 yards this time on the play as the Mavericks do a good job of shutting it down. Let's go down to Terry.
Jim, Lawrence Butler, defensive back for the Mavs, dealing with that in this half left ankle injury. He had it taped up. Told DJ Vokalek, his defensive coordinator, he was ready to get back in, but when we started walking around on it, still wasn't right. They took the tape off, put some more ice on it, and now he has gone back to get a closer look at that through x-ray, so probably out of this one. Back to you, fellas.
3rd down coming up for the Jacks. They're at just shy of the 20-yard line in their own territory. They'll need to get to the 27. Back goes Feldheim with time, throws, it is incomplete. He had Shepardson out there who didn't get it, took a hit afterwards, didn't like it, and so it brings up 4th down, and the Mavericks have an opportunity here to get the football back and in good field position.
Well, that's exactly the type of defensive stance I was looking for. You force the 3rd and long somehow. In Feldheim, or in the first half, he didn't do too badly passing. I mean, he had over 120 yards passing, but this half the Mavericks have just been able to stop him.
Tyree Kellogg is the deep man now for the Mavericks instead of Anderson. Langland gets the snap, flag goes down. Here's the kick, a line drive. Kellogg at his own 40, back to the 45. And down he goes at the 48-yard line. Now we'll check the flag. It came from a linesman. If it were against the Mavericks, it would still not be a 1st down. No, it's a procedure penalty, and I would think the Mavericks will turn that one down because they'll have the football near midfield.
It was a formation on the kicking team. Finley, D-Fly, 1st down.
I think that says it all. Just a minute into the 4th period, and the Mavericks will take over now at their own 48-yard line.
Yeah, pretty much a short field from what they've seen most of the game. They're just officially, they're less than 52 yards away from the end zone.
Ryan Krause out to the far side. Mavericks going with a double tight end formation. Here's the handoff. This is Johnson. Fights for some room, gets across the 50, gets across the 47, 45. Well, they said he wasn't down. He just kept piling on. He was laying on top of somebody and kept going, and they'll give him the 45-yard line.
Yeah, that was really good because he started to go down, and he turned his back as he was going down and landed on top of a South Dakota State player. He just kept rolling and got a couple extra yards. Now they've broken that wall, Jim. They're inside South Dakota State territory.
Mavericks have it at the Jackrabbit 45-yard line, 2nd and 3. Again, double tight. Handoff, here's Johnson looking for room, and Johnson fights close to the 1st down, maybe a little bit shy, maybe a yard or so. He gets to the 43 and is pushed back. UNO has been able to use both James Johnson and Johnny Nolan with effectiveness. Nolan last week with a big game against UNK. Nolan had 180 yards in that ballgame. 3rd down for the Mavericks. And Seth Turman just sneaks for it, gets all the way down to the 41-yard line and picks up the 1st down. A very quick snap that time. Again, the offense having the benefit of knowing when the snap count is coming and gets a good charge out of it and enough for the 1st down.
Well, at least with this offense, everyone having the benefit. I have played with some offenses in my life, Jim, where not everyone has the benefit of knowing when a snap is. But see, that's the advantage of having a quarterback like Seth. Yes, he's a runner, not a particularly big guy, but he knows how to run with the football. And in that situation, it's a great option for Coach Burns.
First down for the Mavericks. Handoff again. Johnson looking for some room. Gets a block. Tries to turn the corner. Can't do it. Gets maybe a yard. Pushed out of bounds over here on the near side. Scott Conant. It'll be second down coming up. Mavericks started at their own 48 and are getting yards grudgingly. Keeping the ball pretty much on the ground. Out to the far side is Mike Nizzi. Made a big reception in the first half. Turman. Hands off to James Johnson. He finds a lot of room across the 40 to the 35 and down to the 32-yard line. Very close to the first down.
Brought down by Matt Anderson.
Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
Gentlemen, the lonely world of the specialists right now, that world encompasses Troy Severson, Maverick place kicker, as his team has the short field here. Behind me a few moments ago, he was kicking into the net by himself. Also earlier, another specialist is the long snapper. A few moments ago, Steve Winchell was doing that right here behind the Maverick bench. Back to you.
Third down and a yard for the Mavericks from the Jackrabbit 32. Sherman hands off. That's Johnson. He's got the first down to the 30 and down to the 29-yard line.
Man, they are doing great using Johnson the way they're using him. The offensive line is responding. Johnson's listed at 200 pounds. He looks a little bigger than that. I mean, he's one of those runners. He's only 5'9", so he's going to look small height-wise, but he's just got this bulk about him. I think he has to weigh more than 200, but I'll tell you what, those guys up front are doing a good job too to manhandle that defensive line from South Dakota State.
It'll be first down for the Mavericks as they move the chains once more. First down coming up inside the 30. Hand off to Johnson once more, trying to get to the outside. It's down to maybe the 27, a couple of yards on the play. South Dakota State closing very well. Number 37, Jesse Rannick.
And one other thing this drive is doing, it's taking time off the clock because the Mavericks have chosen to grind it out. And as long as they can keep moving forward and obviously get first downs, this whole thing will work to their advantage. But they need to get into the end zone.
Mavericks with double tights again. Lone setback as Johnson gets the call. Johnson fights through a tackle and gets maybe to the 25-yard line. And that's about it.
Johnson, the ball carrier.
A couple of yards more. But it'll bring up third down and 6 for the Mavericks. Mavericks have been conservative on the drive, but having the ball in good field position. You can have that luxury.
This is an interesting call here.
Ryan Krause wide to the outside. Nizzi to the near side. Third down coming up. Turman drops back, quick out over the middle. Pass is caught. He goes to the tight end. Andy Damkroger. He's got it for the first down at the 15-yard line.
Boy, that was nice. Nice execution. Damkroger's been open almost every play they've thrown a pass. And this is the first time they've gone to him today. And it was a big play. And tight end, obviously, for years has been big in the Maverick offense, no matter who the coach has been. There you see right there, Damkroger and a guy his size, how does he become lonely like that? The guy knows how to get open.
Probably a play that was called from upstairs. First down and 10. Hand off Johnson once more. Being shoved to the outside, goes down at the 15-yard line. Not much doing. It was really stacked up along the right side of that defensive front wall.
Now, this is basically the second play in a row the Jackrabbits have been able to stop the Maverick run. They forced it laterally. So now you get caught in a guessing game if you're the Mavericks with second and long.
John Dustin in at the fullback spot, along with James Johnson. Second down. Turman hands off to Johnson. He's got some room, gets inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line. a big 6-yard gain. And again, blocking along that left side for the Mavericks, clears the hole.
Nice execution on the delay. A little bit of a draw, not a full draw play, just enough to freeze the backers. And it gave the offensive line an opportunity at that time, a couple more seconds to open up that hole, and Johnson quickly threw it.
You can see the block thrown there enabled Johnson to pick up the 6 yards and making it 3rd and 4.
That was David Sutter.
Turman fakes it, rolls to the outside, looks, now throws all alone, touchdown! Thad Resick in the back of the end zone was wide open.
Man alive. That was something.
I think that will be his first catch of the afternoon.
Well, the Mavericks go back to utilizing the tight end, Jim, and that's something that they haven't done all day. But this drive, 2 out of the last 3 plays, they've gone to the tight end.
Here's the try now for the all-important extra point by Severinsen. We get a flag down before the snap. And that generally then would indicate a procedure penalty against the Mavericks, unless we had encroachment. Yes, we had a procedure penalty against UNO, knock off 5 yards. Somewhat academic for these PAT kickers. I'm sure they would say that's not true.
Yeah, but actually, though, a lot of kickers will tell you they'd rather kick. It's easier for them to kick from further back, to a point, obviously, than it is to be that close, because then you don't have to get under it so much.
Severson will try it again. Ball is down, kick is on the way, it is up, and it is good. Well, the nice part about that one is it gives the Mavericks a 4-point advantage. So South Dakota State cannot win it with a field goal or tie it, for that matter. Mavericks with the good ball control drive, mixed in with a couple of key passes, one from Seth Turman to Andy Damkroger. Here's the touchdown throw. Look at Turman throwing it over the defense, and all alone is Resick in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that angle didn't allow us to show you how Resick got open. But with running the double tight end formation, and Resick was on this side, all he did was go down toward the end zone, and it just kind of flowed. Of course, with Turman on the pass play action, and then he rolls to the right away the Jackrabbits know he's an option running quarterback. So he gains their attention, and Resick is just left all by himself.
Back there is Josh Ronick instead of Kevin Brown for South Dakota State. And it's a high kick, and Ronick backs up into the end zone, and he's going to have to take a knee and not run it out. So what a nice time to sail one deep into the end zone with 7:27 to go, and the Mavericks up by a score of 21-17.
Well, the thing I like about that scoring drive, Jim, it truly was an all-offensive drive. They didn't have to rely on a turnover deep in South Dakota State territory to get them going. Yes, they had good field position after the ball exchanged hands. They were at their own 48. But the fact is, the offense put together a good, solid drive. You mentioned a couple of key passes, then the quarterback keeper by Turman for the first down, keep the drive alive. So now the defense is back on the spot again.
John Hordorf is in there. The fake by, they're going to say it's incomplete. They're going to let Fieldhelm get away with it. He was in the grasp of Anton Caesar and just dumped it out into the flat. And it's not going to be called grounding. It'll just be called incomplete. So Feldheim making a good decision to avoid the sack.
Well, shows you how good I am. I followed Ronick off the left side. I didn't even see that he didn't have the ball. And my mistake that time was watching the guys up front because they blocked as if it was a run. And there was a hole for Ronick on that far side. But yeah, by the reaction of the fans and by what you said, yeah, I guess that was kind of a close call.
Second down, spread offense by South Dakota State. Back to pass. He's hit, but getting it away to Ronick, and Ronick down the sideline and has enough for the first down. Feldheim really paid the price. Kevin Robinson came nailing in from the left side.
Geiger running him out of bounds.
Yeah, nobody had Feldheim's back on that play. Robinson just lowered the boom on him from the blind side. But the result of the play was positive for South Dakota State. Ronick taking that pass right off his shoe tops and then running for a first down.
Jackrabbits out on 1st and 10 from their own 32-yard line. Here's a handoff. Oh, Ronick is hit in the backfield. Oh, my. And again, it was Caesar who made the initial contact. Ronick is knocked down at the 29-yard line, a 4-yard loss.
It's times like that I'm happy I'm up here. Whew. Boy, Caesar just lowered the boom, spun him around. We'll get a look at it. He just penetrates. And you see the handoff to run. And look at Caesar, untouched. Who did he beat on that side? That's Doug Schultz. He beat Doug Schultz on that side.
Corey Peterson made sure Ronick didn't go any farther, so it's 2nd down and 14. Back goes Feldheim out of the shotgun. Now throws out to the side, incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down. One time I thought I heard a whistle. It looked like thing went into slow motion, but apparently not. So it brings up 3rd and 14. And this is, to this point, has been a big defensive stand. It'll be 3rd down and long, and so the Jacks, again, stripped somewhat of the Josh Ronick running ability, although Ronick has shown good hands out of the backfield. He can turn into a very dangerous receiver. 3rd and 14, Maverick fans again into it. Feldheim dropping back, got some time, throws long downfield, and it is going to be knocked away at the last minute. Batted up in the air, Tyree Kellogg knocks it away.
Man, what a play. He had coverage.
Buckholz almost got it.
Right, and then he had to knock it away, but it didn't go down, it went up, and he was able to knock it away twice.
Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
This bench now definitely on fire. Obviously, the momentum swinging for the Mavs, not only on the scoreboard, but because of this defensive stop here. The bench really lit up when they stopped Ronick a couple of plays ago. Now they're going crazy after the Kellogg play. Early in this game, actually going back to warm-ups, the Mavs were the most fired-up team out here, thinking about the tragic events of this week. But now UNO has been able to get more momentum back. It had been quiet through the first half and into this 4th quarter. Back to you, fellas.
Langland will kick it away. Gets a nice high kick. Kellogg running up on it. Gets that's Jeremy Anderson instead of Kellogg. And Anderson will go down, but not before he gets it back upfield to the 45-yard line. And the Mavericks now take over on 1st down at their own 45. Good field position and 6:09 remaining on the clock.
Well, if execution can be made, then this is a perfect situation for the Mavericks. This is where you want to be if you're Coach Pat Burns. Just over 6 minutes to go in the game. You have a 4-point lead. You have the ball just inside your own 45. And the last time you had it, your running game was strong. And it chewed time off the clock.
1st down and 10. Here's the handoff. This is Nolan. Nope, take it back. And Johnny Nolan gets it across the 45, close to midfield. Again, a two-pronged running attack. First James Johnson, then Johnny Nolan.
So that's what you like to see if you're the Maverick coaching staff. Your defense holds, and then on the first play by your offense, after you get the ball back on a punt, you go 5 yards on the ground.
Exactly. And Maverick defensive stand in that last series, very, very instrumental in this game thus far. 2nd down coming up. Handoff again. Nolan's got some room inside the 45, and he's got the 1st down. Johnny Nolan this time choosing to go off the right side and find some running room. The officials will take a timeout to take a look for the measurement. I think they'll probably, they say 1st down.
Well, the thing about this game, when you look back at it, at least at this point, I don't think as a Maverick fan you'd say, boy, what a spectacular game. But it was a solid game in spots where plays were made where they needed to be made, and we know that's a big part of winning any ball game. But there wasn't a lot of flash and cash in this game.
1st and 10 for the Mavericks at the Jacks 45-yard line. Seth Turman hands off to Nolan, and Nolan gets maybe a yard. But the play clock continues to, or the game clock continues to count down. South Dakota State with just 2 of their timeouts remaining. The Mavericks have all 3 of theirs.
Anderson on the stop.
Pat Burns will not get flashy. There you see some of the better sights of the afternoon.
Yeah, better they show that than us. People at home don't need to be looking at us, Jim.
Talked about Johnson looking bigger than his 200 pounds. 2nd down and 9 coming up. Hand off to Nolan. Nolan looking for some room, gets inside the 40, and again it looked like he might break it. Brought down by Mike Cool. Gain of about 5 for the Mavericks.
Oh, that's a big play too. Is there's South Dakota State burns another timeout, but that got the Mavericks away from a 3rd and really long. It's about 5, maybe a little less than 5 now on 3rd down, but after that, the run was short on 2nd down.
Well, South Dakota State has taken another timeout. They want to get regrouped over there, but unfortunately, you know, those timeouts, they'll certainly wish they had back if they get down here into the waiting moments, but they're trying to figure out a way to stop this Maverick drive at this point, trailing by 4, 21-17. This is, you know, you talked about UNO playing a tough South Dakota State team and not this being a spectacular game in terms of did you play well? Well, the Mavericks probably have played hard, as has South Dakota State. UNO ranked 4th by the American Football Coaches Association. 2 other NCC teams are rated, and yet South Dakota State is not. But this is just a precursor of what's to come in the NCC.
Oh, I think so. If you're a viewer, consider this. UNO Television has important news for you. Beginning September 27th, Consider This begins its 5th season on KYNE TV. Award-winning host Carol Schrader anchors this news and information program produced on the campus of the University of Nebraska in Omaha. And if you have any questions, give KYNE TV a call.
It'll be 3rd down coming up. Back goes Turman, hands off Johnny Nolan. Big hole, Nolan to the 35 and down close to the 30-yard line, and a 1st down for the Mavericks.
Johnny Nolan, the ball carrier.
Oh, you want to talk about keeping a defense honest. There it is on 3rd and 5, and Nolan just takes off right up the middle. I mean, it just seemed like all the linebackers were not even in the play on that one. And that the big play because it's a 1st down. It keeps the Maverick drive alive as we're coming down inside 4 minutes to go in this ball game. As I said at the start of this drive, if the execution can be there, this is a place where you want to be if you're the Mavericks.
Now, the Mavericks have tried to kill 6 minutes on the clock so far. They've approached 3 of those with 3:42 to go. Back goes Turman, handoff again to Nolan. And Nolan stays on his feet, gets inside the 30 down to about the 27-yard line. Let's go down to Terry Leahy.
Gentlemen, one of the things that I will take from this afternoon and this terrible, tragic week for our country and such a relatively unimportant sporting event is the fact that there is familiarity here. And just seeing you guys in that press box, the voice of Terry Forsberg over the PA, Arts and Sciences Hall, this beautiful Dundee, Happy Hollow neighborhood surrounding us, Elmwood Park. It's certainly a great sign on a terrible, terrible week. And hats off to the young people out there, these student athletes.
2nd down call for the Mavericks and Seth Turman. Hand off Nolan. Nolan on a cutback. Gets to the 25-20. Nolan inside the 15. And Nolan down at about the 14-yard line. And another 1st down for the Mavericks. And it's up front blocking that's doing it.
Yeah, those guys, the guys that hardly ever get noticed unless there's a penalty are doing the job they have the last 3 Maverick offensive series. Just blasting open some holes. They're keeping the South Dakota State defense off balance. We'll see it here. Everybody goes to the right. And then look at Nolan cut back across the green when he sees that hole. And again, he's just one tackler away from going into the end zone.
Mavericks now inside the 15-yard line. And the clock becoming the enemy of the Jackrabbits. Hand off again. Nolan close to the 10-yard line, knocked down at that point.
We want you to know that today's broadcast is supported by Nebraskans for Public Television. And Nolan has been this entire drive. I mean, it's just been Johnny Nolan.
The first UNO game of the season was against a nationally rated Northwest Missouri State team. The Mavericks came away with the win in that game, 24-21. Close to 12,000 fans here in what was a terrific setting. A game under the lights, all the trees surrounding the stadium. Just a great night overall. Here's a handoff, this time to the fullback, straight ahead, and that's John Dustin. Dustin gets down to about the 7. And now it'll bring up a third down with 1:38 to go. This drive started with over 6 minutes on the clock, and the Mavericks have used almost all of it. South Dakota State has 1 timeout remaining.
You know, from a South Dakota State standpoint, this is frustrating because you gave up a big play on a 3rd down. You let them get inside what has been popularly called the red zone for the last few years, and time is running out. And you're losing.
Here's a big 3rd down call coming up. Turman hands off to Nolan. He's going to be stopped at about the 7. It'll bring up 4th down. The ball is in the center of the field, so the angle will be good. South Dakota State calls the timeout. If the Mavericks decide to go with Troy Severson, he should have a very good angle. So South Dakota State has used up all of its allotted timeouts. Mavericks, if they get the field goal, would have a 7-point lead. 1:03 remaining. This is one of those games where I would say it's very entertaining. It might be one that you would want to throw it in the old tape machine and run it back again. And as we mentioned before, you can do that on the internet. Beginning Monday, you can go to untv.unomaha.edu.
He said that like a pro.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Mavericks now bringing on the field goal unit.
Well, there's one person in the stadium that isn't necessarily
not too enamored with
jacked
this one.
by this one, yeah.
Well, the Mavericks on 4th down electing not to go for the field goal. They're going to try to get the 1st down. Double tight end formation. Nolan the lone setback. Seth Turman up over center. Now he'll take the timeout. They were going to try to pull him offside.
Well, why not?
No time off the clock. 1:03 still remaining. And the Mavericks take the timeout. So today's broadcast is supported by Nebraskans for Public Television.
See Seth Turman over there talking it over with his coaches. I still don't see Severson.
I don't either. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's out.
Is that? Okay,
yep.
Yeah. But Turman's staying on the field.
You know, Terry talked about the lonely life of the place kicker. How about the holder?
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
So on 4th down, looks like, well, I tell you what, right now looks like the Mavericks are going to go for it. 4th down coming up. 4th down and 3 for the Mavericks. At the Jack 7. Turman, hands off. Nolan, he's got the 1st down. Still fights all the way down to the 2, down to the 1-yard line.
Boy, that's close.
And he is very close to the end zone, but they say just shy, but enough for the 1st down. There was nothing fancy. That's almost like saying, here we come, guys, straight up the gut. Line up and stop us if you can. And the Mavericks up front people are winning the line of scrimmage.
Not a bad way to start the conference schedule. I mean, they had 2 tough opponents, one on the road. They were able to win both those games. Didn't come out of those games totally healthy, but they come back home at the end of a week that has been emotionally draining for everybody in the United States, and they start their conference season, and it looks like they're going to win.
Who do you think's going to get the call?
Turman.
Seth Turman sneaks to the end zone.
Shows you where my mind has been. I was going to say Ronick.
So Seth Turman goes in when everybody thought it might have been Johnny Nolan. Turman takes it into the end zone, and the Mavericks have put the finishing touches on this one, taking a 27-17 lead, consuming all but about 30 seconds of the 6 minutes time when they took over the football. And now Severson will try to add the extra point to make it an 11-point ball game. Here's the ball is snapped and it's low. The kick is up and it's still good. So Severson puts it through, and the Mavericks lead it 28-17. And if you could say that the Mavericks took over the fourth period, I think that probably would be the summation.
Well, the last two offensive possessions really is where the offense got it together. And as you mentioned, this drive started with 6 minutes and 9 seconds left to go in the game, and we just have over 36.5 seconds remaining. So they did it right. They were able to keep it on the ground, chew up the clock, and end up with 6 points. And unless something really strange happens in our careers broadcasting North Central Conference games, we have seen some strange things. We got to look at Turman plowing into the end zone.
Ducking down and following the right side of that line into the end zone, putting the finishing touches on a 55-yard drive. Now the ball falls off the kicking tee. It will be replaced.
Well, our stats crew, Jim, has Johnny Nolan at 111 yards rushing on 26 carries and a touchdown. And he really took over.
Here's a squibber down the middle, bouncing around, and finally picked up by Blaley. And he comes back up to the 25-yard line and is knocked down there. So it'll be first down and 10 for the Jacks with just 30 seconds remaining. And obviously it will be Feldheim just kind of airing it out a little bit in a futile attempt to try to get the score a little closer.
Now, this is one time where they'll probably just open it wide up because they want to get on the scoreboard.
Two receivers out to either side. Feldheim drops straight back, looks over the middle, is going to be hit, and just before he gets it away, and ball just falls harmlessly to the turf. So the Mavericks get to him once again with strong pressure. What happens on the incomplete, of course, is it stops the clock. Just 5 seconds off the game clock. 28-17 win, and a very respectable crowd coming out tonight despite the threatening weather, and except for a few sprinkles, I think things went pretty well down there on the field.
And if you're Coach Burns, you have to be happy with the way the offense showed its stuff in the fourth inning.
Back out of the backfield, the toss to Ronick, and Ronick gets into the open field, 35-40, and up to the 45-yard line, maybe just shy. Knee down at the 44. Ronick in the open field.
To Ronick. Geiger on the stop. First down.
17 seconds remaining here as they set the chains. Back goes Feldheim again to the outside. Pass caught by Gary into Maverick territory at the 49. 10 seconds to go. Feldheim will probably, on this one, try to go for the Hail Mary. And you could see strange things, but I'm not even sure they'd have enough time to get it into the end zone, kick the extra point, then kick the onside. Maverick controlling the line of scrimmage, the big story in the fourth period. Back goes Feldheim. Out of the backfield again, he goes to Ronick. Ronick to the 50, to the 45, and down he goes at the 41-yard line, knocked down by Tyree Kellogg, and he has a first down. So clock stopped with 1.6 seconds, so one more play coming up.
Well, I would expect the Maverick secondary just to play
Here's the snap back to Feldheim, looking into the end zone. Now winds up, fires it downfield, and it is going to be thrown out of bounds, incomplete. And that'll do it. From Al Caniglia Field, the UNO Mavericks go to 3-0 on the season, taking a 28-17 hard-fought win over South Dakota State, trailing 10-7 at halftime, 10-7 at the end of the third period, but then coming back from there to take the lead and going on from that point. Both teams meeting in the center of the field, the traditional post-game handshake.
Well, I think after they look over it, yeah, it's a win. And I know there are times when coaches aren't happy even with a victory. But the way the team just changed its face, especially in the second half, the offense in the fourth period in particular was able to maintain a couple of drives and kill the clock and get into the end zone. They turned a turnover into 6 points. Meanwhile, the defense came up with some big plays down the stretch when the Mavericks had fought back to take the lead. The defense gave South Dakota State a little bit of leeway and allowed the Jackrabbits to go ahead. But then once the Mavericks gained the lead the second time, the defense was able to hold things together. Well, Terry Leahy's down on the field with Maverick head coach Pat Burns, and let's hear what they have to say.
Coach, congratulations. The Jackrabbits with a great running back, but behind your offensive line, you unleashed Johnny Nolan in that fourth quarter. Quite an effort, wasn't it?
Well, it sure was, and it was a tough football game, a very physical football game on both parts. You know, I don't know if we've had this physical game yet this year, so we need to kind of get back, regroup a little bit, and lick our wounds. But I really was pleased the way we controlled that ball in that fourth quarter, because boy, it was important.
Some riverboat gambling at the end of the first half. Taking a chance down there, trying to get to the halftime, and then going on fourth down there at the end of protecting the lead. Well, what gives here, Coach?
Well, you know, I guess these guys are unfortunate. They got a guy like me heading it up, but I just thought we needed to take some chances to see what would happen. And on that fourth down thing down there, we just felt they had an awful long ways to drive in less than 2 minutes. So, you know, that really wasn't as big a gamble as everybody thinks it was.
In other words, a fine defensive team, yeah.
Well, we felt we could keep them out of the end zone, and they had to go down and score a touchdown because there was a 4-point difference right there, and that's pretty difficult to do under any circumstances, especially with the lead in the last minute of the game. But, you know, they've got a good football team, and anything can happen.
Unbelievable week preparing the student athletes. Your feelings on how it went, a relief, glad it's over, just a numbing feeling like everyone across the country, wasn't it?
Well, you know what, right now I'm fairly hollow. I don't know what's in me right now. I don't know what's in this football team, and you could see it on the field there today that they weren't very excited about being out here, but it was one of those things that we had to do, and I think we'll all feel better tomorrow for doing it. You know, fortunately we got a victory out of the thing, but I tell you what, it really doesn't mean much right now.
Coach, how long, as you have so much intensity, how long do you enjoy a game before it's ready to go for next week?
Well, I think what's important here is we step back and look at everything right now, and the big thing is we need to enjoy being with these players. They're a great bunch of guys. These coaches do a great job for us. You know, we just need to enjoy that for a day or two here and try to get back on track come Monday.
Coach, congratulations.
Thanks very much, and we sure appreciate you having us on.
Okay, it was great to be here. Coach Pat Burns, the head coach of the UNO Mavericks, victorious here today. Back to the booth.
Well, I mentioned earlier a 10-7 halftime deficit for the Mavericks. It wasn't 10-7 at the end of the third. It was 17-14 South Dakota State, and the Mavericks tacked on 2 touchdowns to make it a 28-17 final. And just a very, very fine performance by that offensive line. Credit again the defense also for applying some pressure that kept Feldheim from really doing what he wanted to do and standing back there finding a receiver. He was able to get Josh Ronick, and you can see why Ronick is so impressive. He can do it all, not just running, but also getting out of the backfield, making the catch in the open field, and busting a few plays. He's a very dangerous player, but the Mavericks were able to contain him on the ground for the most part. He's going to get his yards no matter what.
Well, he got less than 100 yards rushing. Unofficially, he had 83 yards on 25 carries and a touchdown. But receiving, he had 7 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. So that gives him, 192 total yards on offense with 2 scores. So the guy, no matter what he does, he has something to do with the fortunes of the Jackrabbits offensively.
Now, North Dakota, or rather South Dakota State, coming into Al Caniglia Field, they have lost 5 out of their last 6 games in this series, but they were showing signs like they wanted to put this one in the win column today, and we're in pretty good shape. But you look at the first half, it was basically even. Maybe the Jacks with a slight advantage on the stats, but in the second half, I think we'll find that the UNO Mavericks kind of took control of the game. And as you see there, from a running standpoint, the Mavericks with almost 200 yards on the ground. Total yards go to South Dakota State by 10, but the Mavericks came back in terms of time of possession with a slight lead. They trailed in that first half, but overall 268 yards for the Mavericks, 75 yards through the air. But when you're running it on the ground and having success, you stay with what has been working for you.
Right, and when you look at the stats and how, even though it's a slight advantage for South Dakota State, the Mavericks did things in the second half, particularly the fourth quarter, when they had to keep things going, in particular those last 2 offensive series, because they did score and they did take time out on the clock. Terry Leahy back down on the field. We'll go to you.
Tori and Jim, the scene I will take from Caniglia Field this afternoon with the events of this week in our nation will be both teams coming together right about where I stand right now out on the turf. Before the game, the moment of silence, the players coming together from South Dakota State University and the University of Nebraska at Omaha. I thought it was interesting that Pat Burns talked about how tough it was in so many ways to be here today. I felt UNO was very fired up coming out for their warm-ups when the linemen came out to join the specialists and the skill players. There was a lot of noise. South Dakota State seemed very subdued. But then UNO seemed to lose the momentum throughout the game, then picked it up so quickly as we reported in the fourth quarter. So you could see how it really changed. We've all been around a lot of sidelines and reported from a lot of sidelines, including this field, and it was like slow motion throughout this game on the sidelines. The action, as Coach Burns said, fast and furious, a lot of heavy hitting out there, but on the sidelines, real fast, just very kind of a slowed down mode on the sidelines. Back up to you, fellas.
Well, that was a nice finish to the ball game, a big fourth quarter by the Mavericks, and they pull away with a 28-17 victory, and that's obviously something that they can build on from here. As Pat said, a very physical ball game down on the field.
Yeah, no question about that. I think it was a lot harder hitting inside the game than it might have looked to the people on TV or those of us here up in the press box. But I think what the Mavericks can come away with this, Jim, is what a great way to open up your conference season, because it doesn't get any easier from this. Anybody who's been around the North Central Conference knows, particularly in football, you don't have a week off. Just because a team finishes last with a losing record really isn't a true gauge of what North Central Conference football is all about. So getting a win here in front of the home crowd to start your conference opener, you take a number 5 ranking into the third game of the season, you're still undefeated. So this is a great, great day for UNO.
So the Mavericks win at 28-17. We now join programming already in progress for Tori Pantalian and Terry Leahy and the entire UNO television crew. I'm Jim Kelter, thanking you for watching and sending best wishes to everybody.